Oh, yeah. If at first you do not succeed, try again. Try again. Try again. No reason not to. Just keep on going for it. And we're going to have an amazing one tonight, like we do all the time. So I learned something today. I'm gonna need to read this for y'all. Just so y'all know. Let me double check to make sure we're on. Yeah, indeed we are. Again, amazingly. Let me double check to make sure this is in the right. Yep, it's right. So the content on this channel is intended for entertainment, commentary, and satirical purposes only. Views expressed are opinions, interpretations, and comedic takes on publicly available information, and should not be taken as statements of fact. This channel may include parody, exaggeration, and humor in the style of political satire. Any references to individuals, organizations, or events are part of a commentary and are not intended to assert factual claims. Nothing presented on this channel should be considered legal, financial, medical, or professional advice. Viewer discretion is advised. By watching, you acknowledge that this content is for entertainment and commentary purposes only. With that said, let's get on with it. Let's get on. How's everybody feeling? Happy to have you all back. Yeah, so we're back at it again. And let's see how we can navigate through this this nice little thing that we have going on over here.
Who do you think is the most?
So I've been extremely interested in this chat with Myron Gaines and Candace Owens. And they're such polarizing figures, the both of them. And this should be extremely fascinating.
It's responsible. Why would they want him gone?
I think Charlie was not allowed to be anything but a Christian Zionist. And he was...
Was that true? Do you think he wasn't allowed to be anything else? It's a pretty bold statement, right?
Changing in the last few weeks. Everything began ratcheting up after Tucker Carlson hit the stage.
That pissed them off.
It was like a full court press effort to lie about
What happened there? Tucker Carlson hit the stage.
everything. I do not like the way Turning Point is behaving. I've made that clear, and nobody is going to emotionally manipulate me and tell me to attack Turning Point would be to attack his legacy. Charlie.
Oh my goodness. You think that's accurate? Because he was a part of Turning Point, of course, and he created it and was a powerful figure within it. But how much has it changed? The content, delivery.
He told me years ago he was having a ton of visions and was telling me Turning Point was going to be the death of him. He knew he was going to die young, and strangely knew that I was going to be the only person to defend him.
Oh my goodness.
Candace, thank you for having me here.
I'm excited, and thank you for making it work on short notice.
Of course.
What do you guys think the numbers are, like, from that? All right, let's see what the actual numbers are. So, following Charlie Kirk's assassination on September 10th, 2025, Turning Point USA experienced a significant surge in growth and engagement. Oh, I would have thought absolute different. The organization reported over 140,000 inquiries to start new high school and college chapters within weeks, with approximately 200,000 people signing up to participate in upcoming elections. Existing chapters also saw increased attendance, such as the Ole Miss chapter, which went from large meetings to drawing hundreds to thousands overnight. More than 120,000 students nationwide expressed interest in launching new chapters shortly after Kirk's death. The group already had over 1,000 high school chapters and expanded into K-12 schools with support from Republican leaders. Events like America Fest drew 30,000 attendees, signaling broad mobilization beyond politics into faith and community. Vice President J.D. Vance and Erica Kirk highlighted the movement's momentum at rallies, framing it as a continuation of Kirk's legacy. We have something here from Reddit, and it says evidence of the martyr effect, Turning Point's growth after Charlie Kirk's assassination. 2025, and he passed on September 10th, 2025. So let's see. July, August, September. So right after his passing. That's very, very interesting.
Of course. These are crazy times, so I totally, we got to be careful about where we're at, right?
Right.
So it's been a while since we last spoke. Last time you were on, I remember we did After Hours where you were saving a few women's lives. And I did want to tell you this on camera. One of the girls that you spoke to actually quit OnlyFans on that day.
That's
wow.
cool.
Yeah.
It was a good conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people think that, I guess, those conversations are not worth it or the show is all theater. But for me, I want to sit across from these young women because anybody's life could have ended that way. You know what I mean? Like I could have ended up being one of these OnlyFans girls if there weren't so many like life interventions, because it's just being sold to women so much that this is the easy way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely not the easy way out. That's like the worst way to actually pursue your life, honestly.
So
yeah, but I wanted to make sure I told you that, on camera, that she literally quit like not too long after you did that show. So that's great, saving lives.
Yeah, showing how much of a voice she has and how much influence she has, which is great.
So kind of with that, I saw that you had did a debate on Jubilee with a bunch of feminists. Obviously, we're in a modern day age. Things have changed quite a bit. We've both been pretty critical of feminism, but I think with what you're doing, you're able to really reach a demographic of women that just guys like me and Andrew Tate and others just aren't going to reach.
Absolutely, and people want to listen to her because she is a female. Terry says the United States is a pornified society. Unfortunately, man, 100% it is. Like, it's a disease that has really ruined the mentality of so many women and men in the United States. It should be gone. Caleb, Octopath fan, says Myron is such a loser. Laugh out loud. What do you dislike about him and what do you like about him? thank you for joining in on the chat. You don't have to say it, what you do or don't, but it'd be cool to kind of get some dialogue going. And we're going live every day of 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications, y'all.
Because, we're abrasive in the way that we get it. So they might want, another female's perspective on, the detriments of feminism and everything else like that. So kind of given how society is now, how do you see feminism today with young women? And then what do you predict is going to happen in the next 5 to
chat? What do you predict is going to happen with feminism? That's a great question. And does feminism actually help women, or does it not help women?
10 years? Are we getting better? Is it getting worse? What are your thoughts in general on that?
So I was actually very interested in Tate culture, I guess I'm going to call it. So I'm going to put you in that orbit.
Tate culture.
Of Tate culture, all of these male influencers that were coming out and calling girls bitchs and hoes and all this stuff. And people sat back and were like, oh my God, this is horrible, whatever. But I'm like, wait a second, whatever you think about him, whatever you think about Tristan, whatever you think about Myron, this culture got very big very quickly, and there's got to be something there, right? There has to be. So that was the reason.
Yeah. And what do you think happened? Like, what was the reason that grew so fast? Like, it was just a absolutely fascinating, just experience of growth, so polarizing as well.
And why I flew out to meet Andrew Tate. There was all these conspiracies that I knew him before, and all. I met Andrew a total of 2 times before I did his show. My husband hung out with him maybe 3 times in his life before him and I met. He was actually friends with PJW.
Who is Candace Owens married to? Candace Owens' husband is George Farmer, a British-American businessman and former CEO of the social media platform Parler. They met in December 2018 and got engaged just 17 days later via FaceTime. Engaged on FaceTime. Marrying in August 2019 at the Trump Winery in Virginia. George Farmer was born on July 7th, 1990 in London. Makes him 35. Approximately. London to Lord Michael Farmer. Oh, Lord Michael Farmer. If you're a lord in England, what does that mean? Being a lord in England generally means holding a title of nobility within the British peerage system, which includes the ranks of Duke, Marquis, Earl, Viscount, and Baron, or being a life peer appointed to service to the country. While historically these titles granted significant land ownership and political power, today the title primarily serves as a symbol of prestige and social status, with most legal powers having been curtailed. All right, so he comes from a very successful family. All right. Let's see. I think part of Loki says, I think part of a reason they always trying to be equal, but then use what they are to get what they want. But it's many other reasons. A Square 2034 says, look who her husband dad is and what club they're in. Dudes dig deeper. She's a shill too. Oh my gosh, bro. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026. And we're getting some awesome information like we just did from A Square 2034. All right, so let's look up Lord Michael Farmer's dad. Lord Michael Farmer's father was David Stahl Farmer, a metals trader who served in World War II and was wounded during the conflict. He died in 1950 at the age of 40 due to alcoholism. Died young when Michael was 4 years old, leaving the family in financial hardship and instability. David S. Farmer's struggles with alcohol contributed to a violent, chaotic childhood for Michael and his sister Susan, marked by poverty and neglect. Despite the turmoil, David's work in metals trading provided Michael with early exposure to commodity markets, which influenced his later career. Michael and his sister narrowly avoided being removed from their mother's care due to her own alcohol issues. So both parents were alcoholics. Oh, you know what I could do? We can always go to this website. Let it sink in. Let it sink in. And we'll look him up here. And how much of an American chicken farmer's equipment is truly American? All right, so now we're getting some like farmer stuff. Let's see if we can look up. If we put quotes on the first part and the second part. Um, 1901, 1914, Hamlin, Territon. What am I looking for? Am I looking for some wild last names? William, Maria Elizabeth. David Stallfarmer was the son of Henry Theodore Stallfarmer, born 1869, and his wife Annie, 1914, was living at 20 some other West Hampton. He died at Hendon. Okay. Oh. Candace Owens and Turning Point USA have been butting heads over the scheduling of a live stream to address her allegations about Charlie Kirk. Far-right activist Nick Fuentes has slammed conservative podcaster Candace Owens amid a row over her husband, George Farmer's birthday. Owens and Turning Point USA, specifically Blake Neff, have been butting heads over the scheduling of a live stream where the organization's leadership intended to address her allegations about Charlie Kirk. Owens had several theories after Kirk was fatally shot, allegedly at a Utah Valley University, even on September 10th, but he has not backed up with proof. Recently, she accused the TPUSA leadership of betraying their founder, prompting a challenge to Owens. All right, let's see what does Fuentes say about it. Okay, so they're talking about him lying about his birthday. Fuentes has firmly been on TPUSA's side in the live stream scheduling row. He'd earlier replied to a post from Owens saying, "You were invited to TPUSA headquarters to press their leadership live and in person about their role in Charlie Kirk's murder, but you can't go because of scheduling conflict. LOL. Isn't this what you have been pushing for since September? Time to put up or shut up." Oh, he's telling her, he's like, you know what, woman? Go on and do that thing. All right, so this is what this dude looks like. This is them together. They look like a nice couple, right? Very cool, very cool.
And that's how I met Andrew.
Gotcha.
Like, so my husband was actually friends with PJW. And I just wanted to know what it was, because I'm never a person that will dismiss something on its face and call it a name. Like, there has to be some substance here. And what was actually happening was you got Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate and you got Myron Gaines because you perpetuated a culture of Lena Dunham.
She said you got Myron Gaines? She's talking to Myron Gaines.
Right? So you're acting like men just got tired of it is what happened. And finally, men looked around and somebody stood up and said, it's actually okay to be a man and you don't have to listen to any of these women. Now, you may not have liked how they said it. You may not have liked that they were doing this on top of Lamborghinis. But the reality is that what sat beneath that was a horribly toxic culture where women were dictating the terms to men, and every time a man did something that actually felt natural to them, you called it toxic masculinity.
How did that even start? That whole thing where like the women start to wear the pants in the relationship and do all those types of things, like they're building the foundation to these houses and building the roads and, you know, doing the heavy lifting and all that type of stuff. Not to say women are not important. Women are extremely important, but it seems like this feminism movement has really destroyed so many relationships and potential relationships and thought processes. Do you think it's mostly from the media, or what do you think it is? We're going live every day of 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
And books were written, and Lena Dunham is writing articles, and there's a show about this, and Lena Dunham's naked on Instagram. I wrote a whole chapter about Lena Dunham in my book, and she's naked on Instagram. And
naked on Instagram? What in the world? Lena Dunham? Dunham? This girl? Yeah, God bless Trump. Oh my God, bro. 3.1 million followers? Fame Sick is out. Do you guys know about this Lena Dunham person? Like, what is she even like? I think I've heard the name, but I have no idea who she is. And I'm not roasting her, but I'm just like trying to figure out what she's talking about, dude. Stephanie has joined in on the chat. When men was beating, alcoholic, abusive. Yeah, men shouldn't be beating unless they want to beat a punching bag or something. And alcoholic, not cool. And abusive, not cool. Oh, that's when you think feminism start, I'm guessing. Thank you for joining in on the chat. We're going live every day at 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let me know who this lady is if you want.
And she's lecturing you if you don't want to see her, overweight, naked, and tatted up. So you can't blame the culture, take culture, until you are ready to address where this actually came from, which was.
And if she wants to be big and tatted up and be revealing, like, kudos to her. And if you're watching it, I guess that's kind of what that person wants to see, you know? Is there anything wrong with it?
Women constantly bashing men over the head and telling them that masculinity, full stop, was wrong.
Given the problems that we have, obviously, whether it's me or Tate or other people, will kind of come in and say, hey, this is what you need to do as a guy. This is how the modern day marketplace is now when it comes to dating. What's your approach to...
Ladies and gentlemen, Jigsaw Player 5150 has joined the chat and says she looks like just some normal looking Democrat, bro. Allegedly. Can you see it? Thank you for the smile. We got the best chat in the world. We're developing the best community here, y'all.
Kind of combating this problem from a female perspective?
First, you have to understand the origin of feminism, right? You have to understand that this was not a culture and an ideology that came because they wanted women to have equal rights with men, okay? This was a CIA-sponsored PSYOP.
What? CIA-sponsored PSYOP?
Gloria Steinem was sponsored by
Gloria Steinem. Feminism, CIA, PSYOP. Gloria Steinem is an American journalist and social political activist. What does she look like? Okay. Search results indicate that Gloria Steinem worked for a CIA front organization called the Independent Research Service from 1959 to 1962, funded by the agency to send American students to counter Soviet influence at international youth festivals. Steinem later described the CIA as liberal, nonviolent, and honorable, and did not deny the funding when Ramparts magazine exposed the program in 1967. Wild. Dallin1213 has joined the chat. What juice is she drinking? Oh yeah, bet she has victim mentality as well. Oh, for sure, bro. Those donuts are victimizing her. Carbohydrate intake, allegedly. During World War II, the women had to work in the factories building tanks. Remember Rosie Riveter? After the war, the women were expected to go back to the home and cook and clean. The ladies basically said, F you. Like, let the men do that, right? Okay. That makes sense. Thank you for joining in on the chat, Tara. Yeah, seems like it. That seems like a very possible one. 8 Squared has joined the chat again. House of Lords, by the way. There's great breakdown on YouTube by Mid Unveiled. She's like controlled opposition. Who TF gets married in 3 minutes? They do drop the truth, but it's mostly service level. Yeah, dude. I heard some wild things about Candace, and it's wild. She's like going in and going hard, and people are saying like, is she just one of those people that's trying to like pull attention away from what's happening? She's just being like so polarizing that it's almost like a distraction.
By the CIA. Okay, these protests were sponsored by men in government.
But she's also dropping information like this, which is kind of like, you know, I suppose that would start a crazy movement.
A lot of them homosexual, actually. And the reason for that was simply because they wanted to tax, it was actually twofold, I would say. They wanted to tax household income both ways. And also they wanted women to, instead of focusing on their kids, which comes natural to women, right, to be the quote unquote, like I say, CEO of the household.
Yeah, Candace does have, like when I first saw her, I was like, she's an attractive African-American female that has like completely opposing views to the general population of African-American females. I was fascinated by her. I was like, how does she get to that place? You know, like I'm not saying anything good or bad about her, but it was just like, she's absolutely different, 100%.
They wanted to remove that and to have the children given to the government for 6 hours a day.
Yeah, which, is that a good thing to do? Honestly, give your children away to the government for like 6 hours a day. Loki, I joined the chat. And half of the reason was because they felt some type of way going back to the ways they were. Some of it was because half of the man that came back couldn't find jobs. Now it was a larger workforce. At that point. Yeah, for sure. And have you guys been seeing those videos of all those women? They're like, I just want to be a housewife. Like, take me back. I don't care about all this stuff. Like, just get me back to being a housewife. And like those women are just like begging for the old days, you know, and it's kind of a beautiful thing to see, but man, oh man. A squared 2034 says it's to divide and conquer. What better way to stop uprisings if you control what comes out? That's 100% true, man. 100% true. Paladin Morningstar has joined the chat. Candace Owens is a P3D supporter. Man. I hope you're wrong, bro. But anyways, thank you for joining in on the chat. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every day at 2026.
Beyond 6 hours a day, 6 hours a day, plus whatever sports activities, which gives the government full control over the minds of the children. This came straight from the Pale of Settlement. After they assassinated the Tsar, you had these Jewish women like Emma Goldman, who came over to America. Emma Goldman was the mentor to what's her face from Planned Parenthood. I'm blanking on her.
Oh my gosh, dude. Emma Goldman? Yeah, she's got those glasses that don't even have the arms on them. Marxist. I gotta give Candace Owens some credit, though. She seems to know a lot of her history. So Emma Goldman was a Russian-born anarchist, revolutionary political activist, and writer. Oh my gosh. Is she good for the community? A squared says she flipped. I think that person's talking about Candace Owens. She flip-flops a lot with her views. When she first come on, she was Democrat. I didn't know that. It's like Democrats don't stop eating. Jigsaw has joined the chat. I don't get Democrats. They let in millions of illegals who hurt and kill our kids and then protect them when authorities do show. Yeah, man, that's a little weird. And is that also a psyop? Like, is that really honestly happening? And how can that be stopped? Like, that's just horrible, man. Horrible. Yeah, any Democrat can explain that to me because I don't get it. Yeah. Any Dems in the chat that can properly explain the reason they let in illegals to hurt and kill kids and protect them when authorities show. Big L for those Dems that want that.
her name for a moment. I'm going to say Margaret Sanger. That was her mentor. Mm-hmm. And so this was, in fact, a very radical communist movement that came to America and sought to overthrow families, family institutions, strong men.
And that's the worst thing, man. Once they start to destroy families, everything goes downhill. And I've seen that in like high school wasn't that much, but in college it was like definitely like there was a huge agenda to like just try to rip apart families. Like, you're this way because your mom did this. You're this way because your dad did this. Or your siblings did this. And they just want to create like this sense of individuality that wants to pull families apart, which is horrible.
Feminine women stands in the way of government and absolute.
A Square says, dude, what are you talking about? Your prez hiding the biggest traffic operation and you care about kids. Which traffic operation are you talking about? Please let me know. Chris has joined in and he says the majority of illegals will vote Democrat. Yeah, because they get paid to do that. Did you guys see that? That woman like standing on the side of the road giving people 5s and 20s just to vote Dem? Wild. Oh, yeah. Talking about the E Island Man cover. Yeah. Are they ever going to release those files, man? How wild would that be? Oh, Sean Hawkins has joined the chat. Trump tore 150,000 babies away from their families in his first term. How? Are you talking about, how did he do that?
Control.
In your book, Make Him a
Yeah, Loki, she probably was.
Sandwich. What are some of the things that you tell the women? Because I'm assuming it's a book that's going to be centered around how women can kind of get in the marketplace, find a long-term partner, get married. What are some of the strategies that you tell women to implement to find a partner? You don't have to give it all away.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I don't even.
Those are good questions. Those are very good questions. Wonder how she's going to answer that. Yeah, radical college professors, way too many in our colleges, 100%. And I think, are they getting paid? Are they honestly getting paid to do that? Like every family they tear up, they're just like getting paid an extra few bucks. Sean Hawkins says, illegals aren't allowed to vote by law. You are a liar. That never happened. Typical MAGA. Can't be honest. Yeah. One of the weird ways that they do it, which is unethical, is they say, okay, what is your name? All right, great. Here, now your name is this. And so they write their name and they say, this is the paper, this is that paper, this is that paper. So they have a physical body signing something that is not actually their name, and they get votes that way. It's shown on video. And Trump's separation policy at the border. Trump is a monster, and if he bombs civilian infrastructure, he's a war criminal. Jigsaw player has joined the chat. They don't even ID people to vote here. Sean Hawkins, you're free to look it up if you want. It's a pretty cool video.
Try in my book to sell them a strategy or a technique. I just tell the truth. So here's the history of feminism. Here's what we were told in school. Here's
and I'm open. I'm open to learning new things. You know, like, let me see if I can do a quick. See if I have this really quickly, just to show you this. And by the way, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, because we're going live every day. 2026. All right, so I haven't seen this video, but I think this might be one of them.
All right, a video making its Rounds on social media appears to show people getting paid $5 to sign a ballot initiative. And it has people
only 5. I thought it was 5 to 20.
Really criticizing the signature gathering process. Take a look at this video.
Let me see. Sean Hawkins, you still in the chat? You watching this? What do you think about this, Sean?
This was posted on X by JJ Smith, who tells us that he saw this happen in San Francisco. He
saw this happen in person in San Francisco.
Says that he noticed a line of people waiting to sign what appears to be ballot initiatives at a table. One of the people in line tells him that you can receive $5 if you sign the petition.
$5. Yeah, 5 big buckaroos.
Now, in the video, a woman behind the table appears to tell people what name and address to sign on that petition.
Did you get that? What name and address to sign on that petition?
Smith says the entire encounter made him question the legality of the process.
They was coaching them to what name they signed, what address, and what city. And right there, that rang the bell in my head is like, that turned on the light in my head like, that's not legal. Why not sign your own name?
Building a Better California is a policy organization who says this was one of their campaign documents that was being signed. A spokesperson with the organization says they are outraged and do not tolerate this type of fraudulent activity in the signature gathering process. The campaign will reject any petitions that are received from that.
What a cool drone shot. But do you see what I'm saying, Sean?
Circulator. The California Secretary of State says that it is reviewing this matter and reiterates that it is illegal to give money in exchange for signatures, and it is.
How am I dishonest? This is from ABC 10.
Is a crime to sign or file petitions that is known to have forged names, so just don't do it.
Might be a scam, huh? Just might be a scam. So if they're doing this on the street, this isn't behind closed doors. They're doing this on a main street. You saw this. Just walking by, hanging out. This is like a building. And right behind this guy, look, this is a street right here. This is probably, it's in San Francisco. This is, what, 11 o'clock? Maybe 2 o'clock, 2 in the afternoon? Come on. Come on, y'all. Come on. Sean, and if you have an idea, let me know. Send me a link, man. I'm open. Flossing daily. Yes, John Briggs. Gotta floss daily. Absolutely. Do you floss daily? Water picks are really great for flossing.
Actually how it went down, right? Knowledge is power. I give them the actual statistics of the fact that what was sold to you was you were going to be just like a man and you were going to be happier. Women are actually.
A Square says, dude, both parties suck, but you're just spreading lies for the E Island Man and Bubba's BF. Who are you referring to? Are you referring to me or to Sean or somebody else in the chat? Thank you for joining in on the chat. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026.
More miserable than they've ever been. If you go back and you ask most women about their grandmothers, they remember grandma being happy, right? So.
Yeah, Craftsman has joined the chat. I'm like the host. If they're doing this in plain view, they're doing everything. Thank you, John Briggs. You have a good day too, buddy. Thanks for being here.
So what they actually sold to you, now you've achieved this equality, quote unquote equality, and women have never been more miserable, and women are popping.
Women have never been more miserable. Seems like it. Yeah. Nick Shirley has changed the world by Priority Male TV. Absolutely. 100%. Jasper Milan has joined in on the chat. How you doing, buddy? Oh, okay. So whenever you see restream, after restream, there's an @ sign, and so basically it collects all the chats, and after that that's the person, because restream just streams from vertical YouTube to horizontal YouTube, so it's all YouTubers. Sean Hawkins 66633 says, "You are dumb and dishonest and very gullible." I wouldn't disagree with you. I'm not the brightest, but I try to be honest. So the second one, I try to be honest. And gullible, I guess I can be gullible, absolutely. But I'm open to learning new things. You know, if you have great data to back up things, please let me know. Like, we're developing an amazing community over here, and I'm super excited to learn new things and to see where I am wrong. So send me a link. You have my Instagram. You can send me a link on Instagram. I'll open it up, or send me a title that I need to look up. I'm good for it, man. And we're going live every day at 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
More pills than they were popping, and finding it harder to find a partner and wondering why.
Hey, Tara Matthews, how are you?
Well, it's because you attack.
Jigsaw player 5150. Allegedly, bro. Allegedly. I don't know for sure.
Act natural masculinity. You told men that they shouldn't be allowed to lead. Women have to lead, and actually, you didn't want that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Are women natural leaders? Women are natural leaders to their children when they are guided by their husbands, 100%. You think about who creates the most criminals in the world, single women or single men? And the answer is single mothers create more criminals. And that's nothing to say about women in general, but you need to understand the nature of women. Women have this loving nature, and they don't necessarily have this discipline and structure nature that they receive from the man. And on the flip side, men don't have those loving natures that they receive from women. So this is absolutely accurate. Yeah, Andy Felix has joined the chat. Not trying to be political, but why is it illegal to put ranch dressing on pancakes? Yeah, somebody in the chat answer that.
You were convinced psychologically in a classroom, as I was back when I wanted to be a feminist, or I thought feminism was cool.
Oh man, we have Jasper Milan in here. Being one of the South Africans that knows about our genocide here firsthand, I want to thank President Trump on being light on our plight here. So grateful. Awesome. So happy to have you here. Sean is probably from Somalia. Antonio Gint has joined the chat. Probably, bro. Probably. And maybe we're all just working for Antonio or for Sean right now, because where a large majority of our tax dollars go.
And you should know that. And I think that that's how you change things, without trying to say, here's a strategy and here's how we're going to move forward. Let people know true knowledge. Let people
I can't say that, Lone Wolf.
know true history. And I think the rest of the stuff happens naturally, or I hope.
A squared 2034 says, please do your own research. Well, we're building an amazing community over here. So if you have something that is like incredible and just proving me wrong, or one of those types of things, bring it, man. It'd be awesome.
For you on your journey, when did you figure out that feminism was a lie? Was there a certain event that triggered it that you were like, holy crap, this is BS?
I actually tell the story in this book. I think I do, actually.
Yeah, it's weird how those streams work. I don't know. On me, the streams are actually both vertical as well. So I have no idea.
I think it's in this book, or it's in my last book, actually. It's in Blackout, of this teacher that I had, and I was required to take a Feminism 101. It was called Women's Studies. Maybe it was Women's Studies 201 at the University of Rhode Island. And at that time, I was like, yeah, I'm a feminist, of course.
In college, that's where it happens. They try to turn people into feminists and pull them away from their families. you know, and then also get them into this debt that is unforgivable. So that's a wild one.
Who doesn't want equality as they sold it?
Yeah.
Again, to his classroom, and this teacher, I realized very quickly, was not actually motivated by wanting equality. I was in a classroom where she was trying to convince me that every problem that we had in society was due to men. This was
JG2730 says, this is not live. What do you mean this is not live? Murder Magic Trick says, Candace is literally her ancestors' wildest dreams. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You never know what her ancestors are like. You never know. You never know. You never know. Oh, the reason I have two channels is because some people like to watch it like on television, on PC, on tablets and all those types of things. So if I have it only on like vertical, then only phone users can watch it, I think. And then if I'm on horizontal, then people on desktops can watch it as well. Yeah, absolutely. So like on one of the lives, I have X amount of people. On the other live, I have like another X amount of people. Captain Blackbird is here.
was a literal class that was designed to basically teach women to hate men.
Yeah.
Like no matter, all you had to do to get an A was...
What happened with Sean? Did Sean leave the chat, man? You're not going to prove me wrong and tell me the reason I'm dishonest or an idiot or gullible? Come on, Sean, we're all waiting, man. Prove me wrong. Yeah, 100% Jigsaw Player 5150 has it. Has hit the nail on the head. He says, that's what Dems do, lone wolf. It's all victim mentality.
She would introduce any problem. She could have lost her keys that morning and been like, why did this happen?
Patriarchy.
Well, you know who designed cars? You know who designed cars? Do you know who designed the whole concept of a car key and who designed the couch that you lost it in this morning? It was
Jigsaw Player 5150. Yeah. They're not going to answer your question, and you're going to be considered a racist if you just ask them a question because you're asking them a question, or a sexist, or whatever ist, some type of ist, because they're just so sensitive and they hate everybody and they hate themselves, allegedly, from what I heard. I don't know for sure.
It became to a point where for me it was like laughable.
Yeah.
But there was this one particular class where it clicked for me because when I was in college, I had an eating disorder. So I was sitting in her class and I had
an eating disorder too, for sure, man. Eating disorders are not fun. If you have an eating disorder, you need to know that you got to love yourself, and you don't need an eating disorder in your life.
I was anorexic, and she gets into this topic of anorexia, eating disorders, and she gave us some statistic about the amount.
Mikey Pissboy has joined in the chat. Devolution, what? A devolution, a passing down or descent through successive stages of time, a process transference as of rights or qualities to a successor, delegation of authority or duties to a subordinate or substitute.
The percentage of women that have eating disorders, and I'm making this up now, but it was
40 years of nonsense. These generations now are the same pile of a C word, people, different faces, and the change that is going on from them was never intended for Americans who are the greater good.
something like 80% of people who have eating.
Yeah, it'd be good if like the change was actually for the greater good, honestly. I'll take being a racist, transphobe, whatever else you can come up with, but I still want some answers, you crazy lib turds. That's hilarious. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because we have the best chat in the world.
Disorders are women. And she asked the class, why is that? And we were supposed to say, and she did say, that it was because men control the advertising agency and men want women to be skinny. And it had literally, I'm sitting here having this experience, nothing to do with a man. Like nothing, no man said you're fat, you have to be skinny. That is completely made up. And I'm listening to her try to psychologically.
Ooh, Crashman BR4MR says women are not taught to respect men when they're young. That's probably very accurate. Seems like a lot of women are kind of taught to be like princesses and you get whatever you want and those types of things. But yeah, imagine that if they're taught to respect themselves and men as young. J Tay says, can you record everything? Got a Google no intelligence? What do you mean by that, buddy? Yeah, and we do, Craftsman says, but we do teach our young boys to respect women 100%.
Convinced me that my eating disorder came from a man when it just factually didn't. Most people who suffer with anorexia know it's a control mechanism. It actually has nothing even to do with weight. It just is like, this is the one thing you can control. And I just kind of called her out on that and I raised my hand. I was like, whoa, wait a second. Okay, well, let's look at another statistic. What percentage of people are juicing up with steroids?
Ooh, Kizzy 5386 says, women are taught that men are dangerous because they are. The problem with that statement is you say men are dangerous. You don't say some men are dangerous. And I think you would be much more accurate if you say some men are dangerous. Or you can say some idiot men are dangerous, which, you know, would be completely accurate. But also, what position do you put yourself with these men? You know, you got to think about that as well. But unfortunately, you're right. Some men are dangerous, and especially to women. Majority of men are much stronger and more dangerous than women. But what do they do with those capabilities? That's another thing. And if you surround yourself with some good men, what do you have to worry about?
Right. That's not a super healthy thing to do.
Thank you for joining in on the chat. We're going live every day of 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
So if we said that 90% of it was men, would you have presented to the class that it was because of women? Right? Because women are telling them they have to look like this. And she was, when I say she went white and she...
Terry, the easiest way to show the inequality between men and women is to look at the Forbes 400. Out of the richest 400 people on the planet, only 35 are women. And out of those 35, tell me how many of those women have made it by themselves without the help of men. Like, who's like one of the richest women in the world? Melinda Gates got her money from Bill Gates. The Walmart heiress, she got her money from her grandpa, who was the man who created Walmart. Bezos ex, Jeff Bezos, Amazon dude. Yeah, a lot of these very successful women are successful because of the men in their lives monetarily. And I'm not going to say that having a lot of money means you're successful. There's other forms of success, but we're talking about money there.
He said to me, and I always tell the story on stage, she said to me, I feel like...
Jigsaw Player 5150, super happy to have you on board. You're the man. Thank you, man.
Like you were sent to me from the men's department.
Of course.
Yeah. And I told her back that I was sent to her from the common sense department.
Yeah.
And that everything couldn't be because of men. So I think that was kind of the first time that it clicked for me that this...
Lone Wolf says, if you want people to be dumb, then vote for Democrats. Then you're instantly dumb AF. Yeah. Kizzy, we don't know which men will be dangerous and when. All men are capable of being dangerous. Yeah, you can kind of tell. You know, that's the reason people have friend groups. And like with the guys, you know, you have those friends that are like girls, like, oh, she's a cool girl. This girl's easy, and this girl's bat shit, cray, so stay away from her. You know, so there's like That's the reason friend groups are super important, And then also get to know people. What are you talking about? Like, be in a public place, talk, chat, have exit routes. You don't need to like go and be like one-on-one with some person. Like, do your own research. See if that dude's cool. Like, what's his past like? What's his credit like? What's his criminal record like? Do your research. Check to see if that man is actually good for you and your family and your future. So that's kind of what you should do. And also, they should actually teach things like that in college, of like how to figure out like if this is actually a good guy for you.
This was some sort of a psychological program. In many ways, I was actually saved by.
How old were you at that point?
I was in college,
20s?
so I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
It was the first year.
Yeah, Antonio Gint has joined the chat. Thank you, buddy. Happy to have you on board.
College.
Okay.
So.
Oh, we got to read this. Decisive Dev in the chat, John 3:16. King James Version. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Well said. Well said. Jasper Milan says, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. It means a lot and costs you nothing. I love you all.
Yeah, it was a prerequisite.
Jigsaw 5150. I know that's true. Not everybody has friends groups, but you can always join a sport. You can do whatever you want and find that thing that you love and that you resonate with, and then just slowly develop things. You can find friend groups everywhere. And all women are capable of being dangerous. Extremely dangerous, bro. Super dangerous. Yeah. I had to call the police on a woman a couple weeks ago. Stalker. So, yeah. Kizzy 5386. Anyways, this live is dead. Is it? That's what I get for giving you advice on how to find a good man. Well, I wish the best for you, girl. And the Lord loves you. And if you join and subscribe to this channel, you'll be part of the 20% of the female audience of this channel. Yeah, women are so unpredictable.
So it was interesting for me, I think.
Did that make you shift your priorities? Like,
I was never a gun-ho feminist. I just was like in the back of my mind, same way that I was liberal. Like I was never voting Democrat, but if you had asked me, what do you think about this? I would have very quickly been like, of course we need feminism.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of thinking, man, these women are really annoying in this classroom. Because then there were the majors that were there, you know, the people, these women that were tatted up and like growing their armpit hair out. We had those.
Jigsaw Player 5150. Nice, you're a gamer, dude. There's Discord, there's competitions, there's are there still like those computer cafes, gaming cafes? You find some cool people there, man. Out of 10 people there, you're not gonna probably get along with 10 of them. You might get along with 1 or 2. And the thing is, like, whenever you find friends, one thing that's cool is like you have friends and you have like your close friends, but also it's okay to meet new people even when you're with your friends. Like, it's fun. And being social and communicating, like, what's the worst someone's gonna do? Like, call you an idiot? Who cares, man? No worries, dude. Just find some new cool people to spend time with, or throw ideas across, or create a business with. Do something like productive. It's all good, man.
People in class, and I was like, I don't like any of these people. So it made me think that there was something more to the feminist movement, I think, which was indoctrination.
Interesting. Okay. So I think you've been able to.
Yeah, a lot of women are about money these days, unfortunately. And it's so wild. Like, I've been having this idea of just going through and doing like the before and after of like a woman who like is there for like true love, which is super rare. And she's like older and she's super happy. And then another woman who's just like searching for that love, and she's like on the Miami boat. She got the puffed lips and the altered chest and, the whole 9 yards. And she's like much older, sad, on pills, has a few cats, and just hates life in the world. You know, that's a huge possibility.
Do what every woman dreams of: have a family, have children, have your dream man, but simultaneously being able to also, you know, run a business and do what you want to do. And I noticed when you were debating on Jubilee, some of them tried to say, "Oh, well, you're a hypocrite. You're over here."
Ooh, it's a very, very fine house. It says, go help tote some boxes around at a food bank. Quality people. 100%, man. The more you can help people, they're just gonna love it, man. They're gonna love you, and they're cool people there. And yeah, you're gonna definitely enjoy yourself. That's a great point, man. Thank you for joining in on the chat. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every day of 2026.
Talking about feminism being bad, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, you obviously have a lot of things set up where you maximize your ability to be with your family, right? You do your show, get out of there, spend time with your family. What would you say to the people that sit there and try to call you a hypocrite because, you know, you're successful in your own right, but you've been able to also balance a family, which many women can't do. They want to do it, but they can't do it. What would your response be to those critics?
Craftsman says, I spent 25 years with a woman that was beautiful and I was attracted to, and it got old after about 10 years. Man, living the dream, dude. Good for you, bro. But what do you mean it got old after about 10 years? Like, which part of it? Was it like the, if you want to chat about it, you're not under any obligation, but feel free if you want to. And you could always be anonymous, I guess. Or, I don't know. Yeah.
First and foremost, do not allow people to rule you by exceptions. What I mean by that is, it is such a mistake to look at my life and to say,
Jigsaw says, I've been single for just shy of 10 years. And to be honest, I'm happier now than when I was with my ex. She was very abusive and I let it happen. Good for you, man. Good for you. If you're happy alone, that's cool, man. But, you know, if you can't find a girl, it's probably good to find a good woman. A good woman. But it's better to be alone than to be with a psycho broad, that's for sure. Good job, man. But hopefully, Lord willing, you're going to find a good woman.
Hey, Candace did this, and so therefore I can do this. My life is actually exceptional, right? We are sitting in my house. I do things on my own terms. I wake up in the morning. I get to homeschool my kids, right? I'm homeschooling my children for hours. That's now very important to me. I get to do a podcast from home, and I am actually doing something that I enjoy, right? What is the number one thing? If you find any woman that makes it and she's successful, what is she doing? She's tapping into her femininity, communication. Women communicate more than men. I have a whole chapter on this. If you have a daughter and a son, you know this. Women.
William Van Gordon. But it is funny how immature these people are, Democrats, socialists, that we didn't ask for. They resort to immature acts every time. No maturity. Insert name calling it. Yeah, absolutely, man. But I think that's like the motto, to be like kind of a pessimist, you know, just try to do like that pessimism comedy without being funny. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Girls start speaking faster, and we will speak more words from men for the rest of our lives. And when you actually look, and I ask people in this chapter, who is the most, if I ask you the question right now, who is the most successful man in the world? Just give me your answer. If you have to name a couple of them.
I was going to say, like, from a financial perspective?
Yeah, sure. Full stop. If I said who's the most successful man in the world, who would you
could
say?
say like the richest guy in the world, who would be Elon, even though it pains me to say that. But
okay, yeah, no, but that's the right. You would say Elon, or you would say
something based on meritocracy, finances, and
it's a very, very fine house. Absolutely. Yeah. That's unfair to put everybody in the same box. You're absolutely accurate.
Say Jeff Bezos. Precisely. Everyone would say the same answers, right? Yep. If I ask you who is the most successful woman in the world, what would you say?
That's where it gets true. Yeah, right. I see what you're saying.
Like, what is it? Like, off the top of your mind, like what?
Who the most successful woman in the world is? Your mother. Or any mother. A good mother at that, you know? That's what success is, being a good mom.
what are the names that come to your mind?
Yeah, it's an ambiguous, like, you're like, okay, well, are we going to go off career? Are we going to go off where?
But
Versus
most
a man,
people
it's
would
like,
say like Taylor Swift or Oprah. These women are
Beyonce.
nowhere near the richest women in the world. Nobody knows the name of the richest woman in the world. And so I go about through this in my chapter. Yeah, you'd say Beyonce. I'm like, these are the names that you would say off the top of your head if I asked you.
Craftsman, BR4MR. Yeah, you say S3X starts getting boring. You feel like roommates with kids. Yeah, man. I hear you. And you know what? One thing to consider is, say for instance, you don't drink water for like 2 days. I'm not recommending do this, but you don't drink water for like 2 days. Man, by the end of that 2 days, you're gonna be like, I'm thirsty. I'm gonna drink some water. So do what you will and what you want with that, but I'm trying to like say it in a way, but you probably know more than I do.
Who was the most successful? Everybody knows the names of the most the richest men in the world, and yet nobody knows the names of the richest women in the world.
Jigsaw, you dodged a bullet, bro. Well done, dude. Thank the Lord that happened. Thank the Lord, dude. Imagine if you were still with her. Oof. That would be bad.
Good point.
Right? Nobody knows the names of them. And the answer is a Russian woman. And I talk about this in my book. I'm like, nobody knows her name. And the women...
Jodas Boys. How you doing? Thank you for joining in on the chat. What do you mean? What does my name mean? Or what are you talking about? What happened?
that you do name actually all tapped into their femininity. Taylor Swift was writing songs about relationships. Mm-hmm. She was writing songs about looking for love, and women flocked to this. Oprah was communicating to the housewife, right? She was speaking about issues. They're tapping in actually to the one thing that actually you think they're standing against. Oh, they're the ultimate feminists. No, they tapped into their femininity and found success, actually. And women do not, when we think about success, we don't measure it in terms of finances. That's why these women, we think, are the most quote unquote successful women in the world. Mm-hmm. Whereas men naturally think finances. Oh, it's Jeff Bezos, it's Elon Musk. So I do a chapter and I speak about that in my book.
Yeah. Jodas Boys. The name does have a meaning. 1337. If you look at it, that's kind of code for elite, which is elite, ELITE. And then plans is like plans, to make a plan. So that comes from like hacker or gamer words. And yeah, to have like amazing plans is really important for life. And that's kind of what I want to do for like the community, is kind of inspire everybody here to have like some amazing plans, to have an amazing life, because I think that there's too much content out there that is just degrading and bad and not good. So that's the reason like we have a word of the week, and like we do it every Sunday, and this word of the week is Kairos, and then we had a few other ones like serendipity, which is like a happy surprise, and trying to create some type of good content and doing good things here. Thank you for the question. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
About who the richest woman in the world is. And then the next 10 women who are the richest in the world are all rich because of who they divorced, right? Yep. Yeah. So what is the picture that we're recognizing here? We don't measure success in the same terms as men measure success, nor should we. And it's important for women not to think that becoming financially rich somehow means that you are successful or that you have triumphed something in life.
And since having children, like, how has that like shifted your priorities as far as, I mean, and you can go into as much detail or as little as you want, as far as like how you've kind of prioritized child rearing versus like maybe your career and doing social media as much? Because I noticed, you know, before you were super active, you still post obviously every day, but now it's like, you know, you have other priorities. So how has that kind of shifted? Yeah,
my family is my number one priority. I would say having kids made me more secure.
That's so awesome. Just the fact that Candace Owens says that her family is her number one priority is one of the most amazing things I can hear from a woman. And sure, she could be a shill, she could be this or that, but she's given some great data out there, honestly. Jodas boys, thank you for the sub, man. Happy to have you on. Yeah, and she's given some good insight for the women out there. And it's so interesting how Sean didn't show up, or Kezi didn't show up for the answers, you know? All right, y'all. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every day at 2026.
Secure than ever before. I just don't care about the noise.
She doesn't care about the noise. And let me just shout out to Craftsman. If you're happy, you're successful, 100%, man. Are you going to put that on a shirt? That's a good idea.
If it matters anymore. And also, I have real stake in this fight. Before, these were just ideas. America shouldn't be run like this. This is why, this is what's bad. Once you have kids.
Thank you, William Van Gordon. You too, brother. You too. Yeah, it's a very, very fine house. Not all women. Yeah. Can't generalize all women together, even though there's some wild ones. Can't do that.
You have actually a real stake in the future of America. So when I am podcasting, the subjects that I am covering to me are existential, right? Are we being ruled by pedophiles and criminals? That's now existential for me. What is happening in the school systems? What is happening in these churches? What is going on? This is now existential because my children will inherit the America that I fight for or the America that I remain silent about.
And just to kind of finish off with the feminism real quick. So what do you think are the top 3 things holding women back from fulfillment and happiness right now?
The number.
Ooh, top 3 things from holding women back from fulfillment and happiness. Not respecting their man, not being close to the Lord, and not respecting themselves. What do y'all think? What do you think?
One thing I would say that's holding women back would be not understanding the history of feminism. I think once you know that, everything, like, knowledge is actually power. I would say the second thing that's holding them back is the psychology of peer pressure. And that is the psychology, and the peer pressure starts when we are in school, with women being told you have to go to college, you have to have a career.
Women and less pay? Is that what you're talking about? Chasing ghosts?
Last thing you should be thinking about, you have plenty of time. You don't actually have plenty of time. Biologically speaking, you literally don't have plenty of time. Men might have plenty of time, biologically speaking, but your body is telling you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Women do not have a lot of time. Biology clock is ticking. Craftsman says, from my experience, loyalty about 25% of women and about 60% of men. Selena Gurr 69 has joined the chat. She's now fighting Little Tim Pool and the quartering. Are you talking about Candace? Who are you talking about? Thank you for joining in on the chat.
And so I think, and then that kind of gets into the education. The education system truly is just.
Finehouse says, being expected to clear a man's plate is pretty degrading. Is that the right way to look at it? You know, like, who's doing the plumbing? You know, if a man's going to have the same mentality, he's like, oh, I'm not going to do the plumbing. That's kind of degrading. Got to smell something, got to move something, got to unscrew something, got to throw a snake in there, clear up that. Yeah, but everyone has jobs. You can't get away from that. Like 100%, a man, a woman, they all have jobs. 100%. So, yeah. Think about that. And what's degrading about it? Can it be sweet? And what does a man do for you too?
Soviet propaganda in the classrooms. So those would be the top 2 things. And so they're ignoring their gut instinct and following the herd.
So understanding.
Deirdre Hines, she's talking about having children. That's right.
What feminism is and how it came into place makes it a lot easier to understand everything else. All right, fair enough. What do you think so far about this switch in politics? What do you
Yeah, Craftsman. Women don't build anything. They want to walk into everything already set up for them. 100%. And sometimes they don't have a problem ruining things, you know? It's a very, very fine house. I don't expect men to do the plumbing either. So who's going to do the plumbing? Are you going to do the plumbing? Or is a female going to? I've never seen a female plumber in my life. And I've seen a lot of plumbers.
You think so far about this?
Hold on. We got a new word. Servitude, a state of subjection to an owner or master, a lack of personal freedom as to act as one chooses, forced labor imposed as a punishment for crime. All right, so servitude, if it's expected, is that forced labor imposed as a punishment or a crime? Like, what type of punishment? Like, what did you do wrong to become a servant, I guess? And if it's expected, yeah, I think that's kind of like the wrong perspective to have. But it all depends on like what you guys agree on, you know, what you talk about. Yeah, that's a great question.
The administration with Trump.
Look at that.
Good, bad, the ugly.
Sad. Honestly, the first thing that I would say is that it makes me sad because obviously I spent a lot of time helping Trump get elected, trying to help Trump get elected, and Trump is...
I see a photo right here, yeah.
Yeah, he's a part of my political story, right? A part of my political...
Natalie Peters had joined the chat. Everyone wants to keep looking at the band's job as the man's job, men's work. But they don't want to look at it the same way for women because it's degrading, ? Sorry, the man's job as the man's job, men's work. Very great statement, very great statement. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every day at 2026.
Awakening, if you want to call it that. And it feels to me like when he said, what Epstein files, you know? Are we still talking about the Epstein files? It was just like we were so close. We did everything we could. And we were supposed to be fighting a swamp. And then what happened? What, the Loch Ness monster, which is Israel, rose up and swallowed our hero whole. So it makes me sad. And I think we all can very clearly see what has happened on the basis of who is now supporting him. The literal...
Joe's Boy says, some women think cooking is degrading, so they eat McDonald's. Oh my gosh. Great way to poison yourself. Go on, eat some McDonald's. Gosh. Yeah. Yeah. No, that cooking is not degrading. That's life. You know, like you need that to survive. Great point. Natalie says, my point is there is no stigma against everybody continuing to look at men's work. Still has the work that men do, but not for women. For women, it's degrading. I do not feel the same. Well said. Well said, girl. Well said.
Literal Never Trump movement is now supporting Trump and telling us that we're radicals, the people who initially supported Trump. So there's been a complete flip, and they're trying to use this mechanism of psychology to convince us, oh, we just got here, but we noticed this rot, which is the original MAGA movement. It's completely ridiculous. Their tactics aren't working, but I think it also indicates to us that there is something very scary and sinister that is in DC, right? That turns good men, it like petrifies good men that go in maybe with the best of intent.
Level unknown. Since you described what a slave is, what was the crime black folks committed to become slaves in America? Great question. Great question. Did they bring criminals to America? And who were the people that brought slaves to America? Do you know which country or type of people did bring slaves to America? Great question, man. Great question.
And then they see something else. Like, what happens to these people? We don't know. Like, where is, I mean, day in and day out, Kash Patel and Dan were saying, we're going to do this. We get to the FBI. Now,
Smooth Bandit has joined the chat. How you doing, brother? How you doing? Good to see you.
They look petrified. They look petrified, actually. There's nothing here, actually, to see about these Epstein files. What are you talking about? You kind of made your show off of what needed to happen with the Epstein files. So it's sad.
So if you were to rate them, because people love asking me this question, so now I get to ask someone else. what grade would you give him right now at this point, based on, you know, obviously the Epstein files? I agree with you. It's a huge debacle. It's going to probably be a huge,
The vast majority of enslaved people brought to the United States originated from West and Central Africa, with specific ethnic groups including the Congo and Mbundu, from Angola, DR Congo, and Republic of Congo. While European slave traders organized the transatlantic transport, and Native Americans were also enslaved in the early colonial period, the primary labor force was captured through African tribal warfare and internal slave trading. So African tribal warfare, does that mean that they were prisoners of war and they were enslaved? Where West African merchants and merchant princes sold captives to Europeans in exchange for goods like guns and alcohol. Guns and alcohol, bro? Most enslaved individuals were from the Slave Coast and surrounding regions. The word slave originates from the ethnonym Slav, reflecting the widespread enslavement of Slavic peoples in the early Middle Ages. The term first appeared in English around 1290 as sklav, derived from Old French esclave, which came from medieval Latin sclavus, meaning both Slav and slave. The linguistic evolution occurred because Slavs were frequently captured and sold into slavery by various groups, including the Holy Roman Empire, Muslims in Spain, and the Ottoman Empire, particularly starting the 9th century, while the Slavs' self-designation Slovenci, meaning the famous people or people who speak, comes from the Indo-European root clue to hear fame. The Latin sclavus was adopted by Western Europeans to denote captives from these regions, eventually becoming the general term for anyone in voluntary servitude. So, the semantic shift from an ethnic identifier to a condition of servitude was solidified between the 9th and 11th centuries as Slavic captives became a dominant group in European slave markets. Some scholars dispute the direct link through the Slav origin meaning. All right, so let's see, 9th and 11th century. August 1619 is when they started to bring slaves from Africa to America. And what is the 9th century? 9th century is from 801 to 900 AD. So slaves actually came from the word Slav, and you know what Slavs are, right? What about this? Which people were never slaves in history? Based on historical discussions and available records, no race or major civilization has been entirely free from the experience of slavery or forced servitude at some point in history, as a practice has been nearly universal across organized societies. So at one point, every single person in the world was a slave.
This was posted.
Negative in his legacy at the end of the day. If you had to grade his presidency so far within, what, we're 11 months in roughly, what would you say?
So I would say I'm biased. So if you're asking me to grade, you know how you would have those teachers where if you would take a test and they would automatically flunk you if you didn't put your name on the paper?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Epstein thing for me is like automatic flunk if you don't put your name on the paper, right?
Gotcha.
So if like I'm a mom now, so this was the most important thing to me was figuring out where the pedophiles are in our society. And
That was your number one voting.
this for me, becoming a mother, because you have to remember Epstein, and I did a partial series, a mini series on what we discovered about him. He just got pulled through the ranks, right? Bankrupted Americans. Same thing with the Maxwell family, bankrupted people in England, and was allowed to do this. He had absolutely no background. He was given access to children. He had an office on Harvard campus, despite only having a high school diploma, which I can't even verify his high school diploma, if I'm being honest with you. And this was going to show us everything. He had access to Hollywood. He was working with Weinstein. He had some notorious fight with Harvey Weinstein right before Harvey went down. So now I'm kind of going back in my mind and thinking that's a question I should probably ask Harvey Weinstein, is what they were fighting about. And he had access to models. I mean, this man was just handed the keys to Les Wexner's empire.
Les Wexner. Search chattel slavery. Let's do it. Chattel slavery. Chattel slavery is a system of human enslavement in which individuals are legally classified as personal property, chattel, owned by another person, able to be bought, sold, willed, inherited, or traded like livestock or furniture. Unlike debt, bondage, or indentured servitude, where freedom is theoretically unattainable, chattel slavery involves permanent hereditary bondage, where the enslaved person and their offspring remain property for life with no legal rights. Wild.
Which even how that empire started has got a shady story with a guy who said that Les Wexner was the literal devil. He was the guy who controlled Victoria's Secret. He said, this man is evil. And then suddenly that guy jumps off the Golden Gate Bridge and decides to give his company to Les Wexner. That doesn't really make sense.
What? What? Conspiracies, man. Conspiracies. Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to jump off this bridge and I'm going to give you my company, man. What in the world? What in the world?
And so we had this rare opportunity to really understand how the Matrix was put together, in my view. And Trump took us to this line and then balked. And I'm not sure why he did. Okay. Maybe it's because he almost survived his assassination attempt. He survived his assassination attempt.
Yeah, two of them.
Two of them. And maybe they put him in a room and said, here's how it's going to go. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to try not to judge him because I don't know what he is going through. But for me, the Epstein files was a name on the paper.
So what are your thoughts on the current news? Because it just resurfaced again. They're, in the process right now of getting everything classified. I understand that there were a bunch of emails that came out. And it's coming back up again. I can tell because I'm seeing nothing but CNN clips on it. Anytime they love to hit Trump when it comes to this Epstein thing. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on the latest information that came out recently with the emails and everything else like that?
When he initially balked on discussing Epstein and Pam Bondi did the whole crazy bit, I was told that it was because there was donors he was protecting, and that makes sense to me. I have never felt, and I'm a pretty good vibe person, Trump's not into kids, right? Mm-hmm. So the nature of the emails, was he at a party when people should just think about that. When people say, oh, they exchange, like he was on his plane, never on the island, but like was on the plane, or was at a party. If you were you live in Miami. If you were at a party, the idea that somebody could be at any club that you are at or any party that you are at has somebody that's underage and looks like she could be 18. And
You're welcome, Level Unknown. Thank you for joining in on the chat. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026.
That doesn't really track to me as any evidence of anything other than the fact that he was at a party once and Jeffrey Epstein was very clearly running a sophisticated network and a blackmail ring. So I don't think that whatever they have on Epstein with Trump and Epstein is going to implicate Trump in any of that stuff. Yeah. And I've been around him. Trump.
Jigsaw Player 5150 was saying, I was asking Democrats, why do they protect illegal criminals who come in and hurt and R4P3 our children? And I'm searching for the response. Did Nice House leave the chat? Or still developing a rebuttal? Regardless, everyone is welcome here, and we're going live every day at 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Oh, fine house. Yeah, I'm looking for you. All right.
Has a type, and I have never felt that vibe from him at all. But I do think he's protecting some of his owners. I do believe that, because I look at them and they just creep me out.
Finehouse has said the same response a few times. Finehouse says, what was the question I was typing?
And he took a lot of money from Miriam Adelson, the Adelson family, hundreds of millions of dollars from Miriam Adelson. And I think that's kind of the beginning of everything. So when they started leaking these emails, I read it as like a public threat to him. Maybe they're arguing about something in the background and he's holding the line on something. So because they obviously have all the Epstein stuff. He was their blackmail guy, you know? And so if people don't listen, they probably do a little trickle. That's how I read it. I read it as like a public threat, and they want something from him, and they're going to be like, capitulate or we will hit you with everything they have. And we need to have a leader that says, just.
Graham Lucas has entered in the chat and says, Trump only likes blondes and white. Did you see that lady? Oh, I got to find this video for you.
Comes right out in a press conference.
Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every day at 2026.
And says, they have this about me. They've been threatening me with it. I'm going to tell them to release everything, and I'm going to hold the line. People would cheer. We wouldn't even care. We'd be like, okay, like, as long as you're not implicated in harming children, right? I can deal with you being at a party that Epstein was at and finding out that whatever it is that they have on you. That's my gut instinct about the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you that I think he doesn't give me the vibe that he's like doing that type of thing with children. But I do think that maybe there's something in there that looks really bad optically, and that's might be why, or to protect donors, like you said. Because I look at it like if there was something really bad like that, the Democrats would have exposed that during the Biden administration if there really was. So, that's another thing as well.
All right, you guys, if your credit card balance is freaking you out.
Speaking of the Zionist lobby, we're talking about Miriam Adelson and Epstein and everything else like that.
I'm searching for the video right now for y'all. I'm going to find that thing because you got to see this one.
Last time we spoke, you were literally like a week or two before you left Daily Wire. It's been a while now. And obviously a lot of things have transpired, right? You've had a meteoric rise. Congratulations. Meanwhile, your opposition, Ben Shapiro, has had a meteoric downfall. Can you kind of take me through that day of what happened when, because I remember you had been in Miami for a bit, and then I think you might have went back to Daily Wire for like.
All right, here you go. I found the video. All right, and there's actually an update. We got two updates. Finehouse. She can't rewind this video. Finehouse cannot rewind the video. Okay. What was the question? Jigsaw, thank you. Why block? That's my question. I'm a traditional Democrat, kind of left and moderate. Okay. So, Finehouse just doesn't want to answer a question, which is fine. You don't really have to answer a question, I guess. But for the other one, who was the one that said Trump only likes blondes and whites? But anyways, here's the video for you if you think Trump only likes blondes and whites.
I appreciate that because I can trust him because he tells exactly how he feels and what he thinks. Thank God for this president. I am filled, my cup runneth over. because he allowed his constituents, his people, to come to my house to interview me, to talk about the murder of my grandson. It seemed like nobody cared.
Nobody cared. No one from the left cared about her and the criminals. Yeah, jigsaw player. I think she's just it, they, that, whatever that is just a troll for right now. George Pellich. The evidence against Trump is held by the Mossad. The Dems or feds in general don't have access to the most incriminating, weaponizable evidence. Island Man E obtained with his honeypots. Yeah, those honeypots, I'll tell you. Life of bluegrass music Trump used to date black women. Yeah, there you go. And he was on a show with all these women of many different colors and backgrounds, and all these women loved him. What are you doing? Trying to win the weak black vote? Another demon in disguise is... I can't say that, bro, but... Still no answer. Yeah, Jigsaw, please provide...
I'm an advocate for murder. I marched. I rallied. I pulled out other families in the District of Columbia that had murders and did not have answers. Ooh. We marched and we rallied, and nobody heard me, Democrats. Get mad at me.
Nobody heard her, Democrats. What's happening, Dems? You gotta listen to your own people, right? Goodness gracious.
Until this Republican sent his constituents, his people out there to interview me in my home. Have you ever heard of a thing? Then they invited me twice before Congress to testify for the beautiful bill that's going to change crime in the district. If you kill somebody, okay, you take a life, you do life.
Nothing wrong with that. You know, that's gonna deter people right there. You take a life, you do life. Don't take a life. Don't take a life. Don't do that.
Just that simple. If you do a harsh crime, you do harsh time. Just that simple. And then we need National Guard, and which we did years ago. He brought it on. I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be standing up for.
Do you feel that? That energy, that passion? Look at that. Look at that. That she's bringing that raw emotion. She's not getting paid like the Democrats getting paid to protest. No, 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 no. She's stoked about all the help Donald Trump brought to her and her family.
Get off the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off of him. And Grandma said it.
Grandma said it. When she says Grandma said it, oh my gosh. That's just amazing, man. This woman's incredible. You know, you got to give her some credit. A lot of credit. Smooth Bandit. You trying to get me banned, bro? What are you talking about? Oh, man.
One thing I like about him, he keeps...
John Pollock has joined the chat saying, the old woman is so cringy. Jigsaw player 5150 just getting W's in the chat, bro. Just getting W's in the chat. All right, for all my Dems out there, all my Dems. All my Dems. Where is it? Right here. for all my Dems.
Fox News Alert. This is a story that we started yesterday. The paid network behind some of the pro-Iran protests we've seen.
What? The paid network? Honestly? Dems? Dodgy Dems? Dodgy Dems? Double D's? Double D's, dodgy Dems? Okay.
Across the country. So who's organizing them? Who's paying for them? Well, they appear to be well-funded, coordinated, branded, in fact.
Thank you for joining in on the chat, John Pollock, 8444. I don't know what you're talking about, man. Is that person a P3D? Do you know what that president did for her grandson? What do you think about that? What would you do if you were in her shoes, bro? And none of the dodgy Dems did anything for you. It took an orange conservative to find justice for your grandson. How would you feel?
And they look a lot like the other protests that we've seen pop up before. Whether or not it was ICE or pro-Palestine, it's the same sign, same language, same structure, literally the same font. Some of the protesters are also the same. They're being paid up to a full salary. Investigative journalist Nate Friedman has been digging into paid protesting, and he recently confronted...
Are they getting paid by tax dollars, American citizen tax dollars? That would just be like, oh man, you're going way over line right there.
an education director of a group that we told you about.
By the way, we're going live every day at 2026, so make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enjoy your life.
Out yesterday, the People's Forum. They've been receiving funds from a pro-China, pro-CCP American businessman.
Get a real job, be a real journalist, and do something for something in your life.
How can you say with a straight face for me to get a real job? How can you keep a straight face and say that?
Who's the Democrat here? What's going on? Nomad 634 has joined the chat. Are you paid to be this stupid?
Did you or did you not get $20 million from Roy Neville Singham? You can't deny it. There it is. Meet Layan Fulihan. She's a paid protester. Her base salary is $70,000. $70,000 with an additional compensation of $8,649. So who is this woman getting paid $80K a year to protest? Layan is a Columbia alum with a Palestinian background. She
Oh, all right.
Holds a full-time staff position as
I'm open to everything, y'all. I'm open to everything. Send me a link.
An educator at the People's Forum as she protests all around New York City.
Now, we have not independently verified the claim that...
Oh my God, dude.
$20 million flowed.
Jigsaw just getting W's in the chat, y'all. I'm just... All right. We got some comedy in here. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every day at 2026. Mohawk Dude 8554 says they are paid agitators 100%, bro. You know what's happening.
From Neville Roy Singham, who we told you about yesterday, to that person. We do know, and that amount, not for sure, but we know other funds were directly tied to groups like the People's Forum. That figure was reported by the Free Press. Now, host of the Nate Friedman Show, Nate Friedman, joins me now. Nate, great work. You're doing great work on the streets there, often in New York City, confronting, getting to know, actually. That's the best way to describe it. Getting to know these protesters.
Yeah, thank you. I've gotten to know them quite well over the last year.
And how is that? Is it that you're seeing this? I've seen some of your videos, but it's that you're seeing some of the same people at every protest, handing out the same signs, or virtually the same signs.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I thought that this was grassroots. I mean, after Trump won the election, I was just wanted to see what these anti-Elon protests were about, because this was a crowd of people that used to love Elon.
crowd of people that used to love Elon. Paul McLean, 5549. What a pleasure to have you in the chat. Thank you so much for sending a message. You say, how can you claim paid protester? It doesn't exist. You are lying, along with Fox. You see it right in front of your eyes. How much she's getting paid, bro. What are you talking about? Show me something where she's not getting paid to protest. Like actual data, actual evidence. Don't show me like Obama's birth certificate, which is like clearly photoshopped. And if you want me to bring layers, I can bring you layers and move those things around.
Musk, and now they were calling him a Nazi. So I just went to go and see what that was all about. And then when I arrived, they had, these guards saying, I can't be let in to talk to the protesters. Don't talk to Nate. And I was, this is odd. This is not natural. So that's why I started looking into it.
Yeah, Nate, yesterday here on this show, we laid out some of the groups, the Answer Coalition, the People's Forum, Code Pink, that are really the funding mechanisms through which a lot of these people receive some money. And we did lay out the billionaire who at least is one of the biggest contributors to many of those groups, and Neville Roy Singham. But what you've been able to do is also identify the people on the ground. So in that instance,
Neville Roy Singham is an American businessman and social activist born on May 1354 in Middleton, Connecticut. He is the founder and former chairman of ThoughtWorks, an IT consulting firm he sold to private equity firm Apex Partners in 2017 for $785 million. Chinese government ties and funding network. Singham has been accused of funding a global network that promotes pro-Chinese government propaganda. 2023 New York Times investigation revealed he has provided substantial financial support to media outlets, nonprofits, and political organizations such as NewsClick in India, Reframing in South Africa, and Brazil de facto, that align with Chinese Communist Party double CP narratives. These groups often mix progressive activism with Chinese state talking points. Singham's funding flows through U.S.-based nonprofits like the Justice and Education Fund and United Community Fund, many linked to his wife, Jody Evans, co-founder of Code Pink. And here we have Communist Party. All right. All right, so we have options for the Dems. There's China, there's Cuba, there's Laos, there's North Korea, and there's Vietnam, all communist countries. If you like to practice communism, perhaps move there. Let me know how you enjoy it.
Since that lady, she's a full-time paid protester, organizer. There's got to be a lot like her that you see in the crowds.
Yeah, that's right. So
Jigsaw 5150 has had his point proven. Just catching more W's in the chat. They just can't answer his question.
how we got Layan was, I saw that there was a Columbus Circle Iran protest scheduled for 5 o'clock. You guys, we all see the same signs. They got to come from somewhere. So I went to the People's Forum about 2 hours before they headed out.
Dominic Wayne Walmsley, thank you for joining in on the chat. Pleasure to have you here. I can't confirm or deny your second statement, second main statement about Donald. But for your first statement, have you actually researched that? Can you check both sides? Just go ahead and research that.
To the protest, and I see all the signs carefully laid out before they go out there. And I also check to see if they have a back door after they saw me, because I imagine they don't want a viral clip of them all carrying the signs into the van. And I didn't see that option for them, so they had to just come to the front door, and I saw Layan managing everything. And I look at their 990 forms, and she's being paid close to $80,000 a year to be an
She's getting paid close to $80,000 a year. There you go. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because I'm getting some knowledge over here. This is a class. I'm just learning so much right here. And I love every single one of you. And the Lord loves you.
educator at the People's Forum.
And to be clear, Nate, you've seen these same paid protesters at anti-Elon, anti-ICE, pro-Palestine, in this case, dealing with the war in Iran.
Antonio May, thank you for joining in on the chat. Racist enough to vote for a rich P3 and dumb enough to follow said P3 to economic decline, yet capitalism saves us all. Oh, are you guys ready for like the you know, I can't say I agree with everything, you know, as far as what Trump promised when he said he was going to go into office and say, I'm going to stop all the wars and price of oil is going to go down. That's what people are hoping for. No wars, and, you know, they want peace and less expensive oil, gasoline. That didn't happen, so a lot of people are angry. But a lot of people are happy with how safe the streets are, you know, how safe San Francisco is now compared to what it was. DC, Chicago, you know. But thank you for the question. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every day at 2026. And once we get to that point, I'm going to bring up the video of the real reason we're in Iran and the Hormuz Strait.
That's right. For example, David Chung, who works at the People's Forum, also as a general manager, being paid close to $80,000 a year. You can learn more about him at natefreemanshow.com/Freeman Files. But he's being seen at almost every protest that I go to, much less now after we exposed him. But yes, it's the same people.
And last note on this, Nate, I think what's important to know is there are people on the streets who have no idea what they're wrapped up in. I'm sure that's to be the case. You know, well-meaning, impassioned New Yorkers or Minnesotans who join these protests. But I think what's revealing here is the spark and the organization behind what they get wrapped up in is totally manufactured. And even if you were one of those protesters, you might want to know that you've become a pawn in someone's larger plan.
That's right. They are so against Trump, though, that I'll tell you, I asked one protester, do you know that your sign is being printed by, you know, with the help of a billionaire? And they kind of weasel themselves out of that question. So you would be surprised. Whatever it is that's against Trump, they're happy to be a part of it.
No matter who's funding it, no matter who's starting it, no matter the instigator, the initiator, or the spark, it doesn't matter, because in the end, it's anti-Donald Trump. That's really fascinating. For the rest of us, it's good to remember exactly what's behind this, and you're doing great work there. Nate Freeman, thanks for being with us.
Smooth Bandit Zero, she's an organizer, and you're conflating demonstrating with organizing. Blown together, wafted together from several sources, heterogeneous in diplomatics marked by conflation, inadvertently formed by combining two different readings into one, a conflate text or passage. To blow together, okay. I'm conflating demonstrating with organizing. Demonstrating with organizing. Organizing, she's pulling people together. She's not protesting. She's getting paid to pull more people together. So she's like actually the catalyst. And is she going to tell Fox News how much money she's giving to each protester?
with us.
Thank you.
All right, before we go, the Will Cain Show made multiple requests, once again for a comment ahead of today's segment to Lion Fuleon, Neville Roy Singham, the People's Forum, and the Goldman Sachs Philanthropy Fund, through some of which this money flows. And we did not receive a response.
Goldman Sachs Philanthropy Fund.
All right, ahead, an attempted ISIS...
Dave Seibert. Singham is the one behind paid protesting and putting hundreds of millions into trans rights advertising. Why doesn't he spend all that money in China on the same thing? Oh yeah, because he would not be around anymore. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
This inspired terror attack on Americans.
Allegedly, from what the internet says. I don't know. But if anyone knows more about it, let me know. We're going live every day at 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications.
Soil. The suspects, though, tied to naturalized citizens that we welcome into our country. So, how do you police radicalization? Is it possible? Is this a story of terror, or is this a story of immigration? My thoughts next.
RICO. What is RICO? Here we go for the Dems. It's story time. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications, because Ronald Reagan would probably want you to do it. So Ronald Reagan asked a friend's little girl what she wanted to be when she grew up. She said she wanted to be the president of the United States. Both of her parents, liberal Dems, were standing there. So Reagan asked the little girl, if you were president, what would be the first thing that you would do? Well, she replied, I'd give food and houses to all the homeless people. Her parents beamed. Oh, the joy. What a worthy goal, Reagan said. But you don't have to wait until you're president to do that. You see, you can come over to my house right now, and you can mow the lawn, pull the weeds, and sweep my driveway, and I'll pay you $50. Then I'll take you over to the grocery store where that homeless guy hangs out, and you can give him the $50 to use toward food and shelter. The little girl thought. A few seconds later, she looked me straight in the eye and asked, why doesn't the homeless guy come over to do the work and you can just pay him the $50? Reagan said, welcome to the Republican Party. The little girl's parents stopped talking to Reagan after that. Oh, Racketeer Influence and Control Act. Thank you. Thank you so much, Patty Kelly, for joining in on the chat. W's for that.
Like a day or two, and then they said, hey, we're going to get rid of you, blah, blah, blah. Can you kind of take me through how that all transpired and how you've been able to kind of use that cancellation from their perspective to just...
Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act.
Utterly destroy them and flip the roles.
So, gosh, I was fired in, what was it, March of 2024, and I obviously was very surprised about it. I did not know it was coming. Look, even if I sensed it was coming, I would have never have thought that it would have happened in the way that it
Yeah, bro. That question gets dodged. Oh my gosh. You guys ever see that video of where they're like, something like, let the immigrants into the United States, and they have those signs in the front yard, and then some guy pulls up with a van with a bunch of immigrants, like, hey, you want immigrants to the United States, right? Why don't you let them stay at your house, sleep at your house? And like, no, it's just a sign. You can't stay at my house. It's just a sign. Like, I'm just, yeah, it's a sign, but you don't stand by it. Come on, what are you doing?
it happened. I would have thought that we would do everything that we can to keep things friendly. I mean, you don't want to work for any company. It's just unprofessional to want to work to
Dodgy Dems. Do we got to make a shirt? Dodgy Dems? I think we got to write that down, man. We're going to make a shirt, Dodgy Dems.
Dedicate years of your life to any company and not have things, even if they're not on great terms, you still want to make it as peaceful as possible.
TMZ
Inspired by Jigsaw 5150.
reported, and I have to ask you this because I've always been wanting to ask you this. They reported that one of the reasons why they wanted to get rid of you is because you did the show with us. And when we talked about Jews, we hit the sound effect, the cha-ching sound effect, and that, I guess that infuriated Ben Shapiro. Is that true, or?
I know where that leak came from.
Okay.
And it came, gosh, am I allowed to say anything about this? She no longer works for the Daily Wire, and I think she was behind that leak. Yeah, so she no longer works for the Daily Wire. So that was interesting. I can neither confirm or deny whether or not that is true.
Okay.
But what I will say is I would have never expected that sort of a PR. I mean, it's just the opposite of the way that I am. I mean, I've worked with several companies. I've worked with PragerU. I have obviously a lot of disagreements with them now.
Robert Cheney has joined in on the chat. Good morning. How you doing, buddy?
But I had a very peaceful working relationship with them. They treated me fantastically. I've said this 1,000 times. Like, what I think about them now and what their contributions are to what we're fighting, I could never go back and say like one bad word about how they treated me. They were really good employers.
Who the F? UK, our we tribe. I have a homeless 21-year-old living in a tent in the garden. He has no clue. He has a slight autism, and this society, with the help of the left-wing propaganda, has F his mind. It's so sad to realize. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Hopefully that man can get some help and find the Lord and get back on his feet and do the right thing, man. But you're nice to allow that guy to be there, I guess, you know. So make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. We're going live every day at 20:26.
And very communicative. I ever had an issue. I mean, I think my contract with PragerU was like 2 pages. I'm not even kidding. It was crazy. Marissa never even wanted to talk about contracts. She's like, if we ever have to talk about the contract, she was like, you should probably leave because like I don't want you here if you're not happy.
Yeah.
Obviously had a very great relationship with Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA. So for me, having never had any sort of a debacle ever in my life, in terms of working for people, it was new, it was global.
Craftsman has the idea, man. Yeah, man. How you gonna negotiate with somebody who's like, what's that called? Non-negotiable. It's not possible.
There was so much happening, and I didn't know if we were going to survive it. Genuinely, my husband and I, it felt like it's like trench warfare. Your every move, you're not even thinking about the implications. It's like, I just have to put one foot in front of the other and fight. And I first and foremost just grateful to God that my husband was just rock solid. I think if my husband had shown even a fraction of apprehension, fear, anything, I probably would have come apart. And this again gets back to the importance of marriage, because there are things that men are designed to deal with. Men
are definitely designed to deal with some things, while women are meant to design with other things. Warlight 2 says a national socialist revolution followed after World War II. The Rhineland Bank dynasties in US and UK made it a point through mass medias to make certain that such a social revolution would never happen again. Now, various German bank dynasties, Goldman Sachs, Schiffs, Lehmanns, Kochs, Thiels, Islandman-Ease, Exempli Gratia, ruled the U.S. from the Federal Reserve, first chaired by P. Warburg under the BIS Bank in Switzerland. How accurate is that? Have you heard about that, chat? And that's some pretty heavy-hitting stuff right there. Allegedly, it could be true. I don't know much about it, but I've heard a few things that are kind of in line with that. And so that's wild.
Designed, like I was good on the psychology games of what they were trying to do, but in terms of just getting down and building the infrastructure and like, okay, we need to rebuild the podcast. We got to do this. We got to figure this out.
Robert Cheney, I can't read the small print. When was this interview? 2 months ago. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every day of 2026.
We laugh now. I mean, even because my team came with me, which was something that was also a huge blessing. I'm so grateful to my team, because I went to them and I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. We can't offer you health insurance.
Maldo 76. Deport all Democrats. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we have the best chat like that one from Maldo 76.
We have nothing. So if you leave the comfort of where you are taking a risk.
Yeah.
And we don't know where this thing is going to end. And also we're like being banned from society also.
Yeah.
So the chances of this podcast working when we're banned from everywhere,
Exactly.
Even YouTube demonetized us. It was slim to none. And they were just like, we're coming with you. So to look back on that, it's just a tremendous amount of gratitude and appreciation for the audience, my team, and first and foremost, my husband, you know.
So he helped you through that process. Because I remember like it was all over the place, and you know, obviously there was an enormous amount of pressure, but you were able to use that to your favor. You get let go from Daily Wire, you start up your own thing, and you know, obviously this topic is a very controversial topic when it comes to Zionism, Jewish power, and these other things. And it led to some things. What red pilled you on this topic that made you say, I got to speak up? Even though this is a very taboo topic, you could get, you know, like you said, deal with demonetization, cancellation, losing an employer. What made you say, I got to speak up on this?
I want to get into heaven. And I think people don't realize that that's real. Like, I think people...
Is that a goal of some people here in the chat? Like, how prevalent is that? We're almost at that place. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every day, 2026. And we're going to just about get to that video of the real reason the United States is in the Strait of Hormuz, guys. This is going to be incredible.
Who are atheists don't understand that a part of this whole psych operation was to make you an atheist. Because if you knew for certain that when you die, there is more, which there is, you would be living your life differently, right? I want to get into heaven. And so at the very moment that I know anything is true, I can't tell a lie, right? So when I was working, and giving the example again for PragerU, I genuinely, first off, wasn't up on the topic of Israel. It wasn't kind of a common discussion. There was no pressure on me to get out there and say,
it's happening. It's happening. I'm getting the video. So make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every day at 2026. I'm bringing it up right now.
Things that are pro-Israel. I just genuinely believed it in the same way that I tell people Charlie Kirk just believed it. There's no conspiracy. He just was like, yeah, Israel, I'm a Christian. And obviously Israel has biblical connotations, and so I support Israel almost like it's a periphery.
Yeah, it's like a default setting.
Yeah,
when
it's
you're
a
in
default setting. Yeah,
literally. Yeah, in the
factory
GOP
setting.
Yeah,
and people who attack that and assume that everyone's in on an agenda should stop doing that. At the moment that it kind of became and I would say after October 7th, they were kind of demanding that you take a side. I watched Bassem Youssef. This was truly the mental turning point for me. He went on to Piers Morgan and it went viral, and he held up.
All right, chat. We're gonna do a quick one. It's either we're gonna do the joke first or the real reason we're in Strait of Hormuz, and I'm gonna start the poll right now, and we're gonna do a quick 1 minute poll.
This paper where he showed how many deaths there were every year of Palestinians versus Israelis, and I will never unsee that. And he was being totally a jackass about it, was just kind of using humor, which is the best tool, and being like, so what's the equation of how many lives are worth? So I'm going, okay, so I'm supposed to believe these are the evil people, but this is how many people. And then I had Norm Finkelstein on my show at the Daily Wire, because I was like, let me go to someone who actually is not an anti-Semite, right? His parents survived the Holocaust, and he's a professor who was denied tenure for a ridiculous reason because he's committed to telling the truth about Gaza, and he wrote so many books on it. And that to me was like, wow.
So that like red pilled you on the topic, like seeing the deaths and everything, because no one ever sees like the Palestinian perspective, because it's like almost like in America, well, especially if you're a conservative, the default setting is we support Israel unequivocally every single time, and you never even hear the other perspective. So, and I've said that too, like October 7th kind of opened up this discussion, whereas like I remember before it, like if you talked about it, you would get demonetized, banned. That's what got me demonetized was that topic, especially before October 7th. So you start talking about it. I remember you had debated a rabbi, I can't remember his name.
A couple of them, there was Rabbi Shmuley, and then there was
that idiot and the other
who
one.
was, oh gosh, I have to remember his name. He was my favorite. Candace. This is the worst anti-Semitism. He actually was low-key my favorite because he was so over the top.
Oh yeah.
He was so over the top, and he was like, you can't even say, what was it, witches? Skylar, what was the name of that rabbi? Barclay, Rabbi Barclay. That was his name.
And I think that was one of your last debates you did on Daily Wire too. I think you were still on the Daily Wire there. Did Ben ever like have a conversation conversation with you about this? If you could disclose it, like
No.
he just like never talked to you in person about this. He just like trashed you. Because I remember seeing a clip of him like at some type of social gathering, like late in the year of that year, saying, "Oh yeah, I think what she's doing is despicable, blah blah blah." But he had never had a conversation with you.
No, and after that, we never had a conversation.
Wow.
So that happened, and that's we never had a conversation after that. So
he didn't even have the decency to like figure out, hey, what's going on here, have a conversation. You're just like,
I tried.
Yeah.
It never happened. So
wow. Okay. So you got banned from Australia.
Got banned. All right, so the poll is starting, y'all. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Which one do we do first? And you let me know, because it's action time. All right, so Finehouse, if you see Restream, there's a name after the @ so Restream is just bringing all streams together so we can all communicate together and be one happy, amazing community. And make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026. Yeah, voter ID. All right, y'all.
Australia. Right, you got banned from Australia.
It's a gangster.
Yeah,
almost,
and I
right?
was like,
super bad.
Because I talk, people try to tell me like, because I talk about world Jewry being a thing and how, it's an international cabal that works together, for the betterment of Israel, and they're located all across the world. And I use that example of how they got you literally banned in Australia, even though they represent like 2% of the population. How did that even happen? Like, how'd you get notified? Like, yeah, how'd that even come about?
I was going to tour in Australia, and the Zionist lobby found out, and they publicly...
Patty Kelly is tired about hearing from Hormuz. All right, I'm sorry that you're tired of hearing about that. But
posted, it was like the Zionist Organization of Australia, maybe it was ZOA, publicly posted this thing.
Like their equivalent of APAC.
The Nelosphere dropping some heat. Man, that's wild. Didn't know about that. That's wild.
Right, essentially.
Yeah, it's another APAC. There's so many of Zionist organizations. And I will say, on the conservative side of Australia, the Jewish conservatives did also write a letter in support of me saying, like, we disagree with her, but she should be allowed to speak. But they were effectively the ADL, and they posted this.
A crazy mother. Please explain what you mean. Would like to know. Steve Weiss, BS, it's all she spews is nonsense. Why even give her a platform to stand with Israel and the United States? Thank you for joining in on the chat, Steve Weiss. Who would you recommend? Like, who do you think is great? But you know what? She says that she's for family. Do you agree with her that she's for family and, promoting loving values for families? Patty Kelly, absolutely. I think we can assume, but we don't know for sure. But let's see. Right now, we're going to wrap it up. Let's see. Oh, did that one not? Okay, we have one. How did the other one not go? I guess the other one didn't go. But it won. So, sorry, I asked one out of the two chats. But here we go. It's happening right now, y'all. So get ready for it. And I don't know how accurate this is, but I'm open to people telling me whether it's true or fake.
An idiot. What if
Sound is pretty bad.
losing the war and you Trump isn't an idiot? What if losing the war in Iran is exactly the plan?
Hold on, I gotta change this to mono because this sound is just demolishing me.
Let me show you something the media
Didn't apply.
will never tell you.
Still
Okay, so everyone's saying Trump is destroying America. He's fighting an unwinnable war in Iran. He's threatening to invade with ground troops.
Threatening.
He's pissing off NATO by threatening Greenland. He's picking
Iran, NATO. Okay.
fights with Canada, Mexico, Denmark, Colombia.
Canada, Denmark, Mexico, Colombia. Okay.
JP Morgan says the world will run out of oil by mid-April. The global economy is about to collapse.
So the global economy is about to collapse. Interesting.
Trump looks like the worst president in history. A complete buffoon, right? But what if that's the whole point? What if Trump wants to lose the war in Iran?
Is that a possibility? Does he actually want to lose the war in Iran? This is a wild, wild perspective.
What if he wants the American empire to collapse? What if he wants to destroy the global economy? Then he'd be a genius.
A genius. My goodness. Patty Kelly, what do you think about this? Bonehead D, I don't know. But I think this is part of the plan. Prove me if I'm wrong. I'd like to know.
Let me explain. Right now, the world gets 20% of its oil from the Middle East. Japan, 75% from the Middle East.
75%.
India, 60% from the Middle East. Europe,
India, 65%. It's quite a bit.
heavily dependent. But here's the thing. Oil isn't rare. Venezuela has the world's largest reserve.
Venezuela has the world's largest reserves, and who just got Maduro?
Canada has massive reserves. United States has massive reserves.
Canada has massive reserves. The United States has massive reserves.
Trump just took over Venezuela in January. He's threatening to take over Canada.
Leo Jr. 5067 says Trump is messing up the economy already. All right. Let's see. And then what happens next?
You see where this is going? If Trump closes the Strait of Hormuz by fighting Iran, the Middle East oil stops flowing.
All right, so they're fighting, and the Middle East oil stops flowing. And then what? Geraldine Castley 1302, thank you for joining in the chat. Are you talking about me or somebody else? And how can me or somebody else not be a moron?
But North America, still pumping.
Okay. America's still pumping.
Suddenly, Europe, China, Japan, South Korea, they all need American oil.
All those people need American oil. And are those people the same people America owes money to?
Not just oil, fertilizer too. Nitrogen for food production comes from the Middle East. If that's cut off, where do they turn? North America.
Everything's cut off. Where do they turn?
And Russia. Trump is making the entire world dependent on resources he controls. Now here's the genius part. Who owns the most US debt? Who's financing America's $39 trillion? Japan, China, Taiwan, South Korea, Asia, UK, France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Europe. The same countries that need Middle East oil. There's been this fear that these countries would stop buying US Treasury bonds, that they'd move to gold or Swiss francs, that America's Ponzi scheme would collapse. But now they need American energy. They need American resources. They can't abandon the dollar. They're trapped. Trump just turned America's biggest weakness, its debt, into its greatest weapon. By starting an unwinnable war in Iran, he's forcing the entire world to depend on North America.
What do you think, chat? Is that accurate? Is it not accurate? How incredible is this? And thank you for helping me with the commentary.
This isn't new. Putin already proved this works in Ukraine. Russia's been fighting for 5 years. It's a slow grind, but it's restructured Russia's entire economy around war production. Drones, munitions, military manufacturing. Russia went from importing Iranian drones to making their own and now exporting them to Iran. Putin's plan, the world is collapsing anyway. So build a fortress, make Russia self-sufficient, control resources, weather the storm. Trump saw this and said, we can do the same. It's called the Technate, Greater North America, Greenland for rare earth minerals, Canada for oil and resources, Venezuela for oil reserves, Mexico for manufacturing, Panama Canal for trade control. Trump's not being reckless. He's building a self-sufficient North American fortress while the rest of the world burns. So yes, Trump looks like an idiot. Yes, he's losing the war in Iran. Yes, he's destroying the global economy. But if the goal was to end the American empire and rebuild it for Americans, to make the world dependent on US resources while everyone else collapses, then Trump might go down as the greatest American president in history. The new world order is dead. Welcome to the Trump world order. Follow for more.
What do you think, chat? Is that the real reason the U.S. is in the Strait of Hormuz? And we got some great questions in the chat. This is absolutely incredible. Boneheaded D says, yes, they can abandon the dollar. This guy is very stupid. Either talking about me or the gentleman above me on the screen. Please clarify. And make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026. Rain Dan says he is not a professor. Thank you, Larry R8303. That helps a lot. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you, Derek Berger. Appreciate you. Sorry about that. Franz Rudolph says, only educated idiots will believe this BS. Thank you, Jigsaw. I appreciate it. Giant the Tom thinks it's bonkers. Lifetime 3123 says all correct except the him saying we're going to lose against Iran. Nice. Derek Berger says can't abandon the dollar if there is no other option for oil. Absolutely accurate.
This thing and publicly said that I should not be allowed in. My rhetoric was dangerous. They lied and said that I said that Jews, what did they say that I said? That Jews drink the blood of children, which was, I mean, it's just like completely.
The blood libel?
It was unbelievable. I mean, the way that that came about was me liking a tweet, literally a like of a tweet of a person who called out Rabbi Shmuley and said Rabbi Shmuley had told a huge lie about me. So they were replying to Rabbi Shmuley and said, you didn't include that she, and then like told the truth about what I said. And then they ended their thing with, are you drunk on Christian blood again? So me liking this tweet,
yeah.
They went full media press corps. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Candace says, I'm like, are you kidding me? It was so obvious why I liked this tweet. Like this person debunked Rabbi Shmuley's lie, but this is how they lie.
Yeah.
This is how they lie.
And they take everything literal.
They take
even
everything
if it's hyperbole
literally,
or whatever. It's like, oh, look at you, vile anti-Semite.
Yeah. And I'm like, obviously I like this tweet because he defended, like he pointed out that Rabbi Shmuley told a ridiculous lie that had nothing to do with anything. Rabbi. Yeah. He said that my followers threatened to kill him or something very serious. And he was like, you're showing this inbox.
And didn't he try to sue you for that?
No, he threatened to sue.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it was quite a time, but they successfully got me banned. I've never been in trouble, nothing. And they decided that I am too dangerous to speak in their country. So that I still think And this has been my belief. Everything that is happening, God wants to happen. So when that happened, it was because Australians needed to understand something about their country. Because people who didn't like me, who didn't support me, or weren't conservative in their country kind of looked up and went, why is this like mom of 4 being banned from our country? No matter what I think about her, I certainly don't think she's a threat, that she shouldn't be allowed in. And we've got literally people who have been accused of murder, people who have violated their visas in other countries, people that rap about murder are allowed in here. And you're telling me she's saying something that's so dangerous? And it, I think, contributed.
Thank you for your chat, Giant the Tom 40. So does that mean you agree or you disagree with it?
To more people listening to my podcast. What is she saying? So I do feel we are in this time.
Craftsman BR4MR did think about that. What do you think? Is that the reason or a reason?
Where the more that they lie, it rebounds very quickly onto them and it creates more pressure against them and they can't stop lying. So
yeah, because you can never lie once, right? Like they always say, when you lie once, then you have to keep lying to perpetuate that same lie.
Right.
So New Zealand also banned you.
Nelosphere told us to examine the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Thank you for your chat. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026. So the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is the largest publicly known emergency stockpile of crude oil in the world, owned and operated by the U.S. Department of Energy, established in 1975 after the OPEC oil embargo. The SPR is stored in 60 underground salt caverns at 4 sites in Texas, Louisiana, with a current authorized storage capacity of 714 million barrels. Current inventory and function: as of the end of 2025, the SPR held 411 million barrels of crude oil, equivalent to about 125 days of U.S. net crude oil imports. It serves as a buffer against severe supply disruptions and helps fulfill U.S. obligations to the International Energy Agency, which requires member countries to maintain emergency stocks equal to 9 days of net imports. The SPR can release oil through sales exchanges or emergency drawdowns with a maximum drawdown capability of 4.4 million barrels per day, and oil can enter the market within 13 days of a presidential decision. Thank you for that. And also, one thing to consider is they said U.S. will have no issues with any type of oil because they've overtaken Venezuela and the U.S. produces a lot of oil. So thank you so much, Nelosphere, for your chat. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Right? And then you were able to get, how'd you go about being allowed to come back to New Zealand? Did they write a petition or how'd that happen?
No, actually their person, so they have a reciprocal system, which is weird, but if Australia bans you, you get automatically banned in New Zealand. So New Zealand didn't actually ban me. Tony Burke in Australia banned me, and they have some weird reciprocal system. Then when they found out, their minister, and his name was Chris something, I should remember it, was like, I'm just against this, and he reversed it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so he had the power to reverse it. So New Zealand actually stood firm on free speech.
Okay, I didn't know that. So like basically when one party does something, the other one kind of reciprocates it, but they do have some type of veto power. What other ways, I guess, has the Zionist lobby came after you? I've seen ADL articles. I've seen SPLC, right? They target me too.
Oh gosh, it was everything. It was everything. Did they
lobby to get you demonetized on YouTube too?
Absolutely. Yeah, that came from
Daryl. Darren Locke, you're welcome, brother. And Boneheaded D, Mega is the most dodgy. Please explain your point. Would like to know. Also says Republicans are more dodgy than Democrats. Please explain yourself. Would like to know. I'm here to learn. Thank you so much. And Giant the Tom, I completely disagree with anything Candace Owens says, because even if what she says is patchable, she's using it for a purpose that is detrimental to public good. Interesting. Can you give me an example of how it is detrimental to public good? Thank you for your chat. Everybody, we're going live every day of 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
The Awesome Jew.
Yep.
The Awesome Jew, who was in attendance, by the way, when Charlie got peer pressured in the Hamptons. And yeah, it was just a full court. They were like, just start mass reporting her for violence and violent rhetoric, and they did that. And then I had no strikes, and then I went to all strikes overnight, and YouTube demonetized us. We were demonetized for 6 months, I think. It was like September, maybe it was 4 months. And so that was, can't make any money on YouTube. So we had to we had to then build our own website, which we did. Mm-hmm. So what it forces you to do is to become your own power center, right? If you ban people everywhere and you say you can't, you're not allowed to fight in this realm, we're going to start building our own realms. And I think they're learning that lesson, is that there seems to be the opposite thing that's happening. So they would attack us on YouTube. They obviously got petitioned to get me fired, banned from Australia. They went after like my family members. Obviously, they tried to pretend.
Chantois, meanwhile, MSN plays 24/7. Nellisphere says, I feel another pandemic coming on. Yeah, there could be, honestly. But I think we said that on last night's stream. It's a possibility, but they kind of ruined it for themselves with how many mistakes they made with the last one. And I think that people are kind of more aware of the situations. And I think that trying to destroy so many people at once has actually brought people together, left, right, centrist, everybody, which is a beautiful thing.
And there was all this friction between me and my husband's father, and that could not be further from the truth. I love my husband's family. They have always treated me very well, but they wanted that narrative out there because...
William Van Gordon has joined the chat. Look up Nosara and Guerra. I think that has a lot to do with what is going on. Let's see what he's talking about. There are 5 main oceanfront communities, each named after their respective beaches. Nosara and Guerra. Okay,
because it was part of the cancellation is even though our own family hates her. We have different viewpoints. Yeah. People can support Israel. People cannot support Israel. You don't marry into ideas.
Yeah, of course. Of course, there's nothing wrong with having disagreements. But.
Right. And I'm just thinking what else they attacked. It's been nonstop. And then, of course, the lawsuits, nonstop legal lawfare.
So right now, between you, Tucker, Nick, they're attacking all 3 of you guys, saying, "Oh, you guys are anti-Semites and you guys are pushing this whole thing." And I give credit because you 3 have done an incredible job of,
Isaiah Gameplan has joined the chat. I mean, she's correct, and Australia has a lot of racism and cover-ups, but I do think they are paid by other factors. Very interesting comment. Would like to know more about that.
Wearing the American public on this topic when it comes to Israel's control of the Middle East, what they're doing over there, how they've been able to get away with this for so long, killing people and no one knowing. And, they've been targeting you guys quite a bit. And I see that, there's been a bunch of drama with Megyn Kelly and Ben Shapiro and everything else like that. What are your thoughts on the on the situation? Because anytime they mention Tucker, you're right there, right? When it comes to the criticism of Israel.
Yeah, even Bibi Netanyahu name checking us was crazy.
Yeah.
On the TikTok thing and why they needed to buy TikTok. They're letting you know this is a psychological operation. That's what they're telling you. They've gone masked down, and they've just come more inward. I have no idea why they kept attaching me to Tucker Carlson. They wanted both of us gone, and
Mark Levin loves you.
Yeah, I know.
Common Sense 0420, stranger on 2 separate lives on YouTube right now with different amounts of viewers. Could you combine them? I could combine them, but not necessarily, because I have one vertical, like for phones, and one horizontal for PCs and televisions and those types of things. And so whenever you see the restream bot and then the @ and then a name, that means that it's restreaming from the vertical to the horizontal, or from the horizontal to the vertical. And just giving everyone a chance to communicate and bringing everyone together so we can all chat and try to find a solution to peace. And we're going live every day at 2026, so make sure you all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Force fired Tucker. They force fired me, and then they realized, we can't control them, and we started having to build our own power centers, and they didn't like that.
And they made you guys bigger.
And Medieval Method has joined the chat. War is always the answer for greed, a sin. Less money, more war. That's the way it always goes. Unfortunately, you're accurate, and I hope we can find a solution to that.
Exactly. So, and then with the Nick Fuentes thing, I promise you, I had never heard the Nick Fuentes backstory until after I was fired from Daily Wire. There was this Twitter audio or X audio space that he did with Jeremy Boring, who at that time was the CEO of Daily Wire. And I heard the backstory and I was like, this is insane, like what happened to him. Nobody can look at that backstory of what happened to him and not realize that it was just evil.
They did everything they can to contain him. It's ridiculous.
It's like he had his life ahead of him. And so you kind of root for that. You're like, no matter how I feel about him, I root for him against the Zionist lobby.
William Van Gordon has joined the chat. This is Nessar, Nesara, Nesara. The National Economic Security and Recovery Act, NESARA, is a set of proposed economic reforms for the United States suggested by the private citizen Harvey Francis Bernard during the 1990s.
And this rule that you can't speak to Nick, why can't I speak to Nick? Can't my audience decide whether or not they want to listen to him? There's this false idea of platforming him, that somehow that's going to be harmful and you can't platform him. If I platform him and Nick seems...
Darren Locke, thank you so much, buddy. Have an amazing day. Until next time.
Likable, right? And then he goes on his show and he says horrific things. And my listeners then go over to his show. They're not going to keep listening to Nick.
Yeah.
They're actually then going to have questions about me.
Yeah. Let the people decide.
Let the people decide.
Yeah.
You don't get to think for people.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as platforming.
Thank you, Common Sense. I'm just trying, man. Just trying. Thank you so much for your help.
Ideas. If people are following that idea, that is on the people. And they are smart enough to make their own decisions. I don't need to tell people to listen to Nick, to not listen to Nick, to platform Nick, to not platform Nick. If I want to talk to Nick, I'll talk to Nick. If I don't want to talk to Nick, I don't talk to Nick. And there's something about the true free markets that Zionists can't stand. They're constantly manipulating the markets so that people think that they are number one, and they're not. They actually require censorship in order for them to be number one.
Yeah, and that's their game. And you know, I seeing Ben Shapiro have a meltdown. You know, they had the Republican Jewish coalition a couple weeks ago, and just saying like, oh, these people are platforming whatever. I find it interesting how like they never like. Because when you guys, if you actually listen to the interviews that you guys do a lot of the times, it's like, oh, this makes perfect sense. I understand like why you have this worldview. They never criticize what you guys talk about, right? They always criticize.
Yeah, Candace is a pretty bold lady, and she says some bold things, and it's wild. And it's nice to think about, but it's also nice to think about like how accurate are these things. So that's always like kind of that little dance you do between, you know, listening and trying to find the actual factual evidence.
You guys directly saying they're pushing anti-Semitism. Well, what are they saying that's anti-Semitic? Oh, well, it's just anti-Semitic. And they don't even want to have the discussion, the debate,
usually the truth
or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you hear Nick Fuentes' backstory, it's compelling. It just is. I was compelled when I heard it. I actually haven't gotten around to watching his interview with Tucker. It's on my to-do list this weekend, but I'm assuming he told his backstory.
Yep.
And then people look at it and go, what is up with this Zionist lobby that they're going after 18-year-old kids for questioning Israel? That's actually what they're fearful of, is people understanding just how long this has been going on, how vicious it is that it will even go after an 18-year-old who's just asking questions literally. And yeah, I think that's what it is. It's the mass awakening that's happening.
Yeah, no, and you know, I credit you, Tucker.
Nellosphere says Nick drops truth bombs, but from a disgusting, despicable vantage point. What's more important to you, Nellosphere? Thank you for the chat, by the way. The information or how the information is delivered.
Nick, some of the biggest voices in it, like waking people up to this problem that we've had for so long, right? I mean, it got us into wars. And I do think that we're making an impact on it because I remember when Trump bombed Iran, he had a lot of pressure on him not to do it, right?
Ashley J. Williams has joined the chat. She says she has no problem telling the truth. The problem is that she also has no problem lying. Oh my gosh. Medieval method, the United States of Machiavellianism.
Right? And he was like kind of going back and forth. I know Steve Bannon had like went to the White House and told him don't.
Machiavellianism. Machiavellianism is a personality trait characterized by manipulativeness, deceitfulness, high self-interest, and a cynical disregard for morality, where individuals view others as tools to achieve their own goals. Named after the 16th century political philosopher Niccolo Machiavelli, it is one of the three traits comprising the dark triad alongside narcissism and psychopathy. Medieval method, dropping W's in the chat. Goodness gracious. Thank you for that funny thing right there, man. Awesome. And by the way, we're going live every day at 2026, so make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Don't do it, or at least push it off a little bit. And he bombed him, and then he ended it there, right? Who knows if, you know, if he didn't have that pressure from his base to not go to war, if he had it, would have expanded the conflict, because we know Israel wanted to, right? If this was like 2003, who knows if we wouldn't have just gone into like a full-on war. But
awesome. Thank you, Common Sense. Happy to have you here, buddy.
think big voices in social media that we didn't have back in 03 were able to kind of pressure, like, hey, we voted for no wars. Like, and then it kind of forced them to be like, I want to keep the base. All right, just bomb them and get out of here. Because that was even very unpopular.
And then you saw the neocons go, oh, you were panicking. It was just going to be and the whole time you guys were just panicking, and it was just one response. You thought there was going to be a broader war. And John Miller put it quite succinctly he tweeted and he said, no, it's because we panicked and freaked out that this didn't happen. This is like saying robbers outside trying to rob your house, your dogs start barking and the robber goes away and they're like, oh, you were just panicking. It's like, no, it's because the dogs were barking that this thing didn't happen. So no, every time which by the way, he still wants his war with Iran. They still want a regime change in Iran, and we have to continue to bark and continue to say that it's not okay. And it worked, because we held the line on it and used our platforms to say, this is the red line.
Yeah, no wars. And he literally was very ambiguous about it for days. So, and I think a big part of that is from all the pressure from his base with people that have big platforms. And this is kind of a beautiful thing where we have with alternative media, because I remember, and you remember too, we're around the same age. The Iraq war, there was no dissent.
Right.
We're going and nobody cares, and we don't, there was no one else talking about it. The news was super pro-war. Everyone wanted to go to war. And it wasn't until 10, 15 years later that the smoke evaporated and we're like, oh, this was a waste of time. Why'd we go to... Saddam has nothing to do with bin Laden. Like, it didn't...
Wild. And Nellisphere says, Nick's takes are unpalatable if you have a conscience. William Van Gordon says, and the distractions that people are currently being distracted by, instead of people focusing on that matter, the rest that's coming, and the power shifting over to the people from these scumbags.
It makes sense.
All right, you guys, maybe.
So let me ask you about, I guess, real quick.
All right, let's see what that is about. One sec. Nope. Not happening.
Harvey Weinstein, what got you interested in like getting his story out there?
So actually, I started working on the Harvey Weinstein documentary when I was at the Daily Wire, which somebody on his team reached out to me because they thought that I would be the only person that would look at this fairly, which is interesting because obviously he's gave millions to the ADL. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we were this very unlikely duo, and I thought he was guilty. I thought there had to have been some guilt. I mean, there were so many women that were coming out. But this is how the media is effective at psychology, is that they know if they say something over and over again, it becomes true. And actually, I realized I didn't know anything about the case. And when I took a look at it, I was shocked. There is no question that Harvey Weinstein should not be in prison right now. And that's
the definition of Me Too.
Billy B says it's all a distraction from the Island Man E-Files.
Right there.
Yeah, they took him out.
Yeah.
Well, who took him out? Why they took him out? That part still is not clear to me, but it should terrify any woman, especially me who has 3 sons, that they can do that. I think Me Too, what it represented was hostile takeovers of companies. That's kind of a theme, right? If you start to go back, you look at from Michael Jackson to Kanye to Britney Spears, these are hostile takeovers of companies. And I think Me Too was a proliferation where they hostilely took over a bunch of companies. And that's my instinct about it. And he was big. So maybe he wasn't playing ball. I actually do now have it on my mind that I want to ask him about this argument he had with Jeffrey Epstein that I learned about.
Do you guys know about the argument that he had with Island Man E? Ashley J. Williams says So Candace wants a powerful Iran. Before, all of the people complaining about this weren't around when Iran was murdering Americans every other day. This has been a long time coming. It's all about money. They're all on another island. Changed my mind. Well said, well said. We're going live every day of 2026. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're trying to find the truth and trying to find peace and developing an amazing community.
Let's go to Trey Yanks. He's live in Tel Aviv, where Israeli forces have just confirmed the death of an RGC head of intelligence. He's also a brigadier general as well. Trey, what can you tell us?
Yeah, guys, good morning. In that operation over the weekend, nothing short of historic. I've been talking with U.S. and Israeli officials, and they say there's no other country that could have successfully extracted that airman from deep in Iranian territory. The spy craft behind the scenes, we'll learn more in the days ahead, but really remarkable. We're also learning of another U.S. and Israeli victory overnight. A senior Israeli official telling Fox News that Majid Kadimi, the intelligence chief for the IRGC, was killed in a strike early this morning. Kadimi wasn't just any figure, I'm told. He was effectively the number 2 within the IRGC, one of the senior commanders who managed to survive multiple attempts on his life over the past year. He oversaw the intelligence apparatus that was used to target U.S. forces and allies across the region. Now, this comes as there is talk of diplomacy once again across the Middle East. Yesterday, I spoke with President Trump, and he said he's confident about the possibility of a deal even as early as today to end this conflict. But he said if there's no agreement, quote, you're going to see bridges and power plants dropping all over their country.
What do you think, Chet? Is there going to be an agreement over here? Just agree. Get it going, right? Or is there going to be some bad things happen? What do you think, Chet?
If they don't make a deal and fast, I'm considering blowing everything up and taking over the oil. Now, a new report today in Reuters says a framework to end hostilities has been put together by Pakistan and exchanged with Iran and the U.S. overnight, outlining a 2-tier approach with an immediate ceasefire followed by a comprehensive agreement. Despite this talk of diplomacy, there are new U.S. and Israeli strikes that are targeting the Iranian regime. And again, we are tracking the latest developments after that successful rescue of an airman over the weekend in southwest Iran. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu releasing a post on X yesterday saying, quote, I spoke earlier with President Trump and personally congratulated him on his bold decision and a perfectly executed American mission to rescue the downed pilot from enemy territory. The president expressed his appreciation for Israel's help. I am deeply proud that our cooperation on and off the battlefield is unprecedented and that Israel could contribute to saving a brave American warrior. We're also tracking the incoming Iranian fire against Israel, multiple ballistic missile barrages.
Oh my gosh, 2 dead, 400 Iranian strike on Israel. My goodness.
Overnight, and on Sunday, 4 people were killed in the northern Israeli city of Haifa. You can see this drone video, the aftermath of a direct...
Haifa, Israel. It's on the west, north. Third largest city in Israel. Goodness gracious.
Impact in that Israeli city. As this is taking place, the Israelis say they believe the Iranians still have the ability to launch missiles and drones at their country. But as Operation Epic Fury continues and the Americans and the Israelis hammer the military apparatus of the Iranian regime, it becomes more and more difficult for Iran to respond. Guys?
Great job out there, Trey.
Yeah, thanks, Trey. Incredible. So knowledgeable. So this has brought up a lot of conversations about NATO and what is the future of NATO now if we don't have countries that are supporting us. You have Spain that closed its airspace to U.S. military aircraft that's involved in this Iranian conflict. And earlier, Madrid refused to allow the U.S. to use joint operated bases. And Ari Fleischer had a message. NATO's going to look a lot different going forward because they're not supporting us.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, Ari was right when he leaned into the fact that the eastern side of NATO countries are leaning in. Countries like Poland, who are the only country that give more money to their GDP on defense than even the U.S., compared to Spain and France and countries like that. Here's what he said. He said, when this is over, the western part of NATO will never be the same. Spain, England, France, and Italy have sold us out, as they too often have a history of doing. Eastern European nations are the heart of NATO. They spend money on defense, know how to fight, and love the U.S. France particularly deserves fault and blame, from supporting China and Russia at the UN to denying Americans overflight rights. They're doing what they've always done, showing weakness while cutting deals with terrorists. The reason the U.S. has a Marine Corps and Navy is, unlike France, we refuse to pay a ransom to Barbary pirates. France is always happy to cut a deal. Wars have unintended consequences as nations show their true colors. NATO will never be the same, and Western European weakness and acquiescence is the cause.
What's going to happen with Trump and NATO? What is going to happen? What do you guys think? Faulkner, 2P, Fox News, the idiot making machine. Thank you for joining in on the chat. Which news station do you recommend? Do you have any good links? So, NATO and Trump. NATO will never be the same. What do you guys think? What's going to happen here? All these European countries are not backing up Trump.
We are witnessing the great American comeback right now when it comes to the power on the global stage and reorganizing not only what's happening in the Middle East, but with NATO as well. And the sad thing about all of this is we always, I thought, could depend on the Europeans when we were in conflict. Many of them fought with us in Afghanistan and Iraq, but that's not the case right now. We see the Gulf states really taking the lead here and waging war against. We would have never thought. And I think it's because of Donald Trump. He went to those countries. He promised them economic.
Merba 6933. NATO. It is not a defense organization. NATO is a globalist tool of repression. Thank you for joining in on the chat. We're going live every day at 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Alex Kurtz says NATO is a defense organization. It's not there to help in Trumpty Dumpty's wars.
Prosperity if they drop the radical Islam. And many of those go, you see with the UAE, Saudi Arabia. Iran is the only partner, well, they weren't never a partner, that decided they wanted to hate us and Israel so much that they wouldn't come to the negotiating table. So the question is, does NATO, with Mark Rutte, who has been a friend of the president for a long time, does he convince the Europeans to do something before this ends? Because if they don't, that's the end of NATO.
Why do we pay into this? Why do we pay the most? Why are we involved in this if they're not going to protect us or allow us to use their airspace on our bases that we own in their countries? So if they're not going to support us, why are we even a part of this?
No, and I think you laid it out perfectly, Lawrence, because ultimately President Trump is testing NATO countries, European countries, to see, like, I don't need you. With our military, we can open the Strait of Hormuz. We can do whatever we need to do. We have the finest, most capable military on the planet.
Ashley J. Williams says, Trump says he'll leave, but Trump says a lot of things. Accurate. If after all of this, we're still in NATO in a month, I'll never believe another word out of his mouth. Excuse me. Paul Walker added, and he insulted all the EU leaders.
But let's see if you'll get involved.
Right.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And
So for all you lighten up the chat, I have a video here. I don't know. You guys might be very interested in this video. This is a wild one. Something wild to think about. And tell me if you think this is accurate or this is not. And if it has any meaning at all. I'm trying to find the truth. Faulkner 2P says, leaving NATO is stupid. Oh, Falcare, sorry. Barrick builds, Trump is a fat P3D coward. All right, y'all. Carlo Genovese, night, brother. Thank you for being here. Have an amazing day and amazing week. And we're going live every day of 2026. So make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Here we go. Similarities. Blue Origin crew. All right, you see that? Oh, but did you see that? All right. Okay. Wild. Wild. Artemis launch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, like those are 4 people that just left. Oh, they have like the V around their neck. Okay. Oh, that's on the back of their coin. Wild. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Smooth Bandit, good to see you here, buddy. Ashley J. Williams. Who RES in space? Anything to say on that? Or no, nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Like the homeless.
Oh, we got something for. Vile Cow says, I wish we would stop providing military for South Korea, NATO, Germany, and patrolling the Straits of Hormuz. Yeah, man. I think you're not alone in thinking that.
Population doubled or something. Like people don't understand like the homeless thing because it sort of preys on people's empathy, and I think we should have empathy, and we should try to help people. But the homeless industrial complex is really it's dark, man. It should be that network of NGOs should be called like the drug zombie farmers, because the more homeless people and really. Like when you meet like somebody who's like totally dead inside, shuffling along down the street with a needle dangling out of their leg. Homeless is the wrong word. Like homeless implies that somebody got a little behind in their mortgage payments, and if they just got a job offer, they'd be back on their feet. But someone who's, I mean, you see these videos of people that are just shuffling. They're on fentanyl. They're like, taking a.
Common sense gets it.
Dump in the middle of the streets, they got like open sores and stuff. They're not like one job offer away from getting back on their feet.
Right. The Cubicle Review too. It's sad you listen to this man. Who are you talking about? Thank you for joining in on the chat.
This is not a homeless issue.
It's a propaganda word.
Right.
CKS South 6 says, they say all that's going on with the U.S. right now is to distract people from the Island E-Man files. If so, then we should have the cure to cancer soon. Actually, a lot of people saying that the medical industry has been finding cures for cancer extremely fast since that. So allegedly, a lot of those things were held and restricted to not help society. So there's going to be some cures coming very soon. Be excited for that.
So and then the
allegedly
these sort of charities in quotes are they get money proportionate to the number of homeless people or number of drug zombies.
Right.
So their incentive structure is to maximize the number of drug zombies, not minimize it.
Right.
That's why they don't arrest the drug dealers, because if they arrest the drug dealers, the drug zombies leave. So they know who the drug dealers are. They don't arrest them on purpose, because otherwise the drug zombies would leave, and they would stop getting money from the state of California and from all the charities.
Dude, talking about this, do you understand what's happening there? Honestly? Huge amounts of fraud in San Francisco. Huge amounts of fraud. The best Goku, how you doing? Thank you for joining in on the chat. Which stream are you watching, buddy? It doesn't seem like you are putting accurate words on the screen.
Wait a minute. So you say
it's dark, man.
Is that real? So they're in coordination with law enforcement on this?
Yeah.
So how do they have those meetings?
They're all in cahoots.
Well, when you find
this is a diabolical scam. And San Francisco has got this tax, this gross receipts tax, which it's not even on revenue.
Pumpkiono 6330. Red states have more D-rug zombies than blue states. Is that accurate?
It's on all transactions, which is why Stripe and Square had, and a whole bunch of financial companies had to move out of San Francisco, because it wasn't a tax on revenue, it's a tax on transactions. So if you do trillions of dollars transactions, it's not revenue, you're taxed on any money going through the system in San Francisco. Like Jack Dorsey pointed this out, and they said look, that they had to move Square from San Francisco to Oakland, I think. Stripe had to move from San Francisco to South San Francisco, a different city.
Every single one of these companies just has to leave San Francisco. The crime is just too prevalent over there. Way too prevalent, unfortunately.
And that money goes to the homeless industrial complex, that tax that was passed.
Which is a huge fraud, doing Nick Shirley's job before Nick Shirley.
So there's billions of dollars that go, as you pointed out, billions of dollars every year that go to these.
Many Stark dropping some heat, so we omit the part of the CIA bringing in D-rugs from overseas, like from Afghanistan, to make dark money for their operations. You never know. Allegedly, maybe. If you have some data on that, please share it with me. I'd love to see some of that. And we're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
Some non-governmental organizations that are funded by the state. Like this, it's not clear how to turn this off. It's a self-licking ice cream cone situation. So they get this money. The money is proportionate to the number of homeless people or number of drug zombies, essentially. So they try to keep that. They try to actually increase, because that like in some cases, like it's somebody did an analysis. When you add up all the money that's flowing, they're getting close to $1 million per homeless per drug.
Too much money, y'all. That's way too much money. And how can that be stopped? Sassy Mo, billionaires don't care about the left, right, or the middle. They have their own wicked agenda, as you can see. Wish you were wrong, wish you were wrong. So sad.
Was very passionate about just telling the truth, because the Me Too movement is problematic. I have a real investment in this. I have sons. Yeah. So I don't care what people think or need to think. I'm not voting for him be my husband. I'm not voting for him to be the president of the United States. I'm not voting for him to be my pastor. I'm telling you that he was accused of something and the media completely lied to you about the circumstances. And it should terrify you because it means that our courts are corrupted. And they are. We know that. We know our courts are corrupted. Why? Maybe through the same system of blackmail. They've got judges in their pockets. But there is, that's a part of the matrix. The court system is a part of it.
And I give you credit because, you're very brave for doing that, because just like with the George Floyd documentary that you did, which was going against the grain, right? A lot of people gave you slack for that. Like, oh, why are you interviewing this, pervert? And why are you going ahead and, trying to destroy the legacy of George Floyd? So, I give you a lot of credit for because I do think that this whole Me Too situation and false accusations is very real.
It matters.
Athletes and professionals are constantly getting accused of stuff. I mean, we can look at what's going on with Andrew Tate, where, it's like every other month, something is getting dropped. There are a lot.
Thoughts on Andrew Tate? Good man, bad man, good for society, not good for society. Mixed views, for sure, mixed views. And the CIA's deception campaign that was used to help the United States airman. Amazing.
CIA's involvement in the daring rescue of the missing airman is becoming clearer. A senior U.S. official told Trey that the CIA leaked information meant to draw Iranians away from the search area. For more on this, let's bring in Fox News contributor and former CIA station chief, Dan Hoffman. Dan, we've been told that this deception campaign was designed to trick the Iranians into thinking the U.S. had this guy.
Make sure you all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026.
How do you do that? What does that look like?
Yeah, this is like shades out of the Normandy invasion, where we would try to deceive the Iranians into thinking that we were exfiltrating him from someplace else. Reportedly,
Mikey Trout has joined the chat. I travel the country, and I'm here to tell you, New York, California have more homeless than the biggest 10 or 15 red states. And that's a fact. Well said, traveling man. Thank you for adding into the chat. Happy to have you here, buddy.
Time exfiltration to throw them off the scent of what was really happening at the time. Look, I can tell you from my experience at the CIA, there's nothing more fulfilling than being involved in a sacred operation like this one to rescue one of our airmen from behind enemy lines. The CIA was there to track his location. Remember, he was out there for 36 hours, escape and evasion, putting into effect what he learned at SEER school. And then at the same time, the CIA is tracking Iranian security forces, their movements, their efforts to find and fix the location of our airmen. And then at the same time, running this deception operation, an extraordinary operation. I've heard it referred to as looking for a needle in a haystack. I think it's more like a needle in a stack of needles. Extraordinarily difficult, and I'm sure that we'll be learning more in the coming days.
And how would it work for the CIA to spread a lie like this in a country where we know there is little to no internet connection right now?
Yeah, so we know a lot about Iranian security forces. We know that they are still trying to collect information themselves. After all, we're fighting a war against Iran. And so the CIA would have looked to find those channels of communication that we know we can exploit, that the Iranian security forces are listening to. Iran has still a pretty developed cyber capability. And what we would have done is simply supplied some information there, some of it true, to establish the bona fides of the channel that we were using, and then this deception operation would have been run in that channel.
And the U.S., if the U.S. can put SEAL Team 6 on the ground inside Iran to go and rescue this missing airman, how much more complicated would it be for them just to go in, small footprint, and get Iran's uranium or the stuff they're needing to build a nuke?
Yeah, well, even in this case, there was reportedly a firefight after all that we did. And again, the airmen reportedly had to climb a 7,000-foot ridge in a mountainous region. If you're trying to extract nuclear material, that's at a site that the Iranians are defending. Presumably, they have weapons and potentially drones or missiles and soldiers there to defend that particular site where the reportedly about 1,000 pounds of enriched uranium is located. You also need specialists who could handle that material as well, extract it safely and take it out of Iran. So that's a very, very risky, challenging operation. But the one thing I learned at CIA, serving 3 years in war zones with the U.S. military, there is simply nothing that together we can't do. There are levels of risk, and sometimes our policymakers don't want to take that risk, but we can put a plan together for anything. And I would emphasize in this case, there was a plan off the shelf. Now, it had to be modified given the location in southern Iran, but there's plans on the shelf to do just about anything. We just modify it based on the situation at hand.
And
how wild is this? Using deception to free a U.S. airman. This is just absolutely incredible. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every day at 2026. And what are your thoughts on this? How incredible is this?
This was a huge risk with a great reward. It was a race, the U.S. versus Iran, for this missing airman. And thank goodness everything worked out. Dan Hoffman, thank you very much for sharing your insight.
Thank you. Happy Easter, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
It seems like he wasn't too clear on exactly how they actually got that. It was like a start to it, I guess you can say, but it wasn't too clear for me. I guess that was intentional, right?
The Trump administration declaring war, on microplastics as concerns grow about potential health risks from particles now being found in our food and in our water. HHS and EPA announcing new initiatives to help pave the way for potential regulations of this industry. HHS Secretary RFK Jr. telling Fox News in an exclusive interview, quote, "We do not have the science that distinguishes between the impacts of these different types of plastics. And maybe if we identify those impacts, the damaging ones can be immediately eliminated because you can replace them with something else." Joining me now to break this all down, family and emergency medicine doctor Jeanette Neshwat. Doc, let's jump to the end of this book. When the work here is complete, just how harmful will we find that these microplastics have been for our bodies?
Hey, Todd, good morning. And that's what we're seeing now is ongoing research to understand the long-term impacts on our body of these nanoplastics, these microplastics, which are tiny pieces of plastics, less than 5 millimeters. And what we're seeing now is this is an emerging public health issue as we see an increase in plastic pollution globally. We're seeing it in our oceans, in our food, in our drinking water. And the issue is that it's being found in our body now, in our blood, in our lungs, in our intestines, in our placenta. And it can accumulate. And the concern is that these are...
Mini Stark has joined the chat. Yeah, that CIA did a really great job fooling that Taliban in Afghanistan.
foreign objects, and these foreign objects can trigger inflammation in our body, and it can also disrupt your hormones. It can impact your fertility. And what's most important, in my opinion, is the fact that it's been linked, as indicated in the New England Journal of Medicine, it's been linked to increase in cardiovascular disease, stroke, and increase in heart attacks. And why is that important, Todd? Well, if you recall,
for health, you want to be healthy 100%.
Heart disease is the #1 killer of both men and women in this country. So it's important to be aware, not to panic, but to be aware.
Yeah, these things are not good for your body. They're not natural. They're not supposed to be there. So the goals for targeting these microplastics between both agencies, the EPA and the HHS, includes developing a standardized and affordable tool to detect microplastics. We got to find these things first. That's what that's saying. To study health risks, including brain and heart impacts, like you mentioned, and develop removal methods for body and also removing them from the water. So how tough is it going to be to ultimately stop this contamination when we well know, Doc, that these microplastics are literally everywhere? How do we get them out of stuff?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and we're exposed to it on a continuous basis every single day. Like I said, sometimes we even breathe it in. But there are some simple steps, some simple things that you can do to reduce the load of plastic in your body on a daily basis. And starting with, when possible, try to avoid plastics. Try to avoid plastic water bottles, for example. Instead, switch to using glass. Switch to using stainless steel. If possible, avoid heating up foods in plastic containers, and you also want to try to use water filtration systems when possible. And there are also some natural ways to help reduce or eliminate the plastics from your body. For example, by staying hydrated, making sure you're getting enough fiber. And
staying hydrated is super duper important.
We want to keep our gut motility strengthened, which basically means you don't want to be constipated, because otherwise those plastics can stay in your body longer. And sometimes those plastics may contain chemicals like BPA or phthalates. So you want to make sure you're getting good nutrition, hydration, fiber, and being cognizant and aware of what you are ingesting on a daily basis.
Dr. Jeanette Neshwat, thank you. Just when you're having that water, make sure it's in a glass container, not a plastic one, because then...
Well said, buddy. Well said. Well said. Profit trumps health all day long. Shouldn't health be higher on the priority list, honestly? Absolutely. I agree with that. All right, y'all, we're going live every single day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. We're creating an amazing community over here, as you can tell, and our chat is the best chat in the world. And also, it seems like a few of these creators are watching the content as well, and within the chat, like we saw, some of the concepts we brought in 2 days ago are newly listed online on the YouTube algorithm. So this is definitely the place to be, and I love every single one of you. The Lord loves you, and let's see, what can we say? We should say treat hate like expired milk. Don't consume it, don't analyze it, just recognize it's gone bad. And yeah, don't give up on your dreams. Love yourself, love your family loves you. And until next time,